Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to yet another Warski Live. How you all doing? Hope you all doing fantastic. Of course, joining me as usual is JF. What's up, JF?
I'm doing good. I'm happy we're talking about autism today.
Yeah, you actually just told me that I kind of titled it poorly a little bit.
Yeah. Living with autism with Virgil. Do I have the choice between these two, or is it that if I choose to live with Virgil,
Yeah,
I
okay, I'm
would?
gonna change it. I have to fix this. Yeah. So yeah, our guest today is Virgil. What's up, Virgil?
What's up, guys? I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, man. So you're a social worker. Why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a clinical social worker who's been working in schools pretty much, special education schools for about 8 years. So work with all kinds of disabilities, and autism is certainly one of those included.
Nice, nice. And yeah, you said 8 years, right?
Yep.
So yeah, you're qualified to speak about autism. I
I'll,
guess you
I,
know the
I,
all the spectrums.
yeah, I will always, this is something about me, I will let you know my limitations of what I know. So like I was telling you, or Chris over email, I'm not an expert on autism. I work with autistic students, but I am by no means would classify myself as an expert. So I'll let you
So
know where my knowledge ends.
I heard there was a point in autism where autism stops being funny and it becomes a disorder. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. It can be rough, but man,
I
can it be
would throw
funny.
you right in there. Jesus Christ. Yeah, because I mean, like an autism stream usually means just people just yelling at each other or having a fight. We're talking about the actual disorder, isn't that right? A JF.
Well, personally, I have my own opinions on this. I mean, I don't think that the type of autism that's being diagnosed in the US at the level that it is done in the US, I don't think that's a disorder. I certainly know that autism is sometimes diagnosed on people who have severe problems, and I would call it a disorder to the extent that they don't like it. But there are many people in the US right now who are getting diagnosed with autism who the only problem they have is that people keep annoying them about social interactions that they don't want to engage in. Virgil, do you think, like me, that there is a slightly overdiagnosis of autism?
In my experience, no. And the way that you described it, I would not say is accurate that they don't want social interaction, rather that they're incapable of engaging in the social norms that's like society has. So one of the students that I work with, I mean, they want to engage with people. They just do it very oddly and very weirdly, which usually pushes others away from them. So that's my opinion on it from my experience.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We
yeah.
have a first difference. There will be blood tonight. And
I'm not a very angry person, but I'll tell you when I disagree.
Yeah. Friggin' the so when we're talking, okay, so are the people that you are a social worker of, like your clients,
Mhm.
right? So where do they range on the spectrum? I asked that question a lot better than I did the first time. Remember that, JF? A few months ago?
how bad was the autism?
Yeah. Mine was even worse, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
it's a really hard thing to explain. So I don't work with severe autism. So all the students that I work with are verbal. There's a good portion of autism that just never speak their entire lives, that are in wheelchairs, that need kind of help for all daily basic living activities. And that's not what I work with. Um, I work with, I wouldn't say high functioning autism, probably about middle of the range, but it's a hard thing. It's a hard question to ask because every case of autism looks completely different. Every student has completely different things, and sometimes the things that they struggle with are almost opposite. So some people are very sensory avoidant. Some people love sensory things. Sensory being touch, light, sound, those types of things. So it's really a very case by case basis of what it looks like.
okay, interesting. And what's the most intense version of autism? Like, what's the like? All right, here we go.
So I haven't worked with these people personally, but my colleagues have, and they tell me they've worked at schools where the more intensive version of autism, and these are again, they can't understand social norms essentially, and so oftentimes masturbation feels good. So in the middle of class, they'll just start beating their meat, and they'll see no problem with this.
Wait, they just start beating off?
Yep,
So
it's
what do you
very
say?
common.
Hey, settle down there. Like you
You
have to.
try to get them to do it in private, but I mean, the people with that version of autism, they can also be extraordinarily aggressive. So
Damn. Well, if that's the case, I have autism.
Oh, Andy, and I'm sorry I'm breaking the subject, but you know what I've been doing for the past day? I've been watching your old YouTube videos.
Why? What? No. Don't do a
Like a
JF live.
collector. I watched all of them.
Which one? Which
All those were, dude, you were race Warski a year and a half ago. You were protecting the white race like a little baby. You look like a little child. And you're like, what about white slavery? What about the whites?
Yo,
Dude, I
shut
could
it.
not believe what I saw.
Where how many of them did you watch?
Now I watched 3 or 4, but I have my whole list. I will go through.
A whole
I want to
list?
know the root of Andy Racewarski.
Oh boy. If I unprivate some of the older videos, even I watch it like god damn. That's brutal. Oh my god.
You were looking good with these intellectual glasses.
Oh yeah. I went for more like a
You were
librarian
looking
look
like a
today.
hippie.
I'm still half hippie though. That's
Now, I want to say the description that Virgil is making of autism. Autism is a diagnosis, and I don't think personally that all of the things that get diagnosed as autism are one thing at the natural level, if you will. I believe that a lot of kids and young people end up in that category, and it's a catch-all term to some extent for anyone who has social difficulties. And I believe that there are very different disorders that end up getting classified within autism. Would you agree with this, Virgil?
yeah, so I'll kind of explain how I see all mental illness is just kind of just a list of symptoms that someone has, and you categorize that into diagnoses. So it's not when you have autism, there's not a specific thing wrong with you. They don't know what's going on with you, to be honest. And as far as kind of your
no, I don't catch.
We hear
overdiagnosed,
you, Andy.
we hear you, buddy.
Sorry. My bad, guys. I think this is one quick thing. This is my autism right here showing.
Well, and part of what you're saying of it being overdiagnosed, there's a theory out there by this guy Simon Baron-Cohen, who's a cousin of Borat, who's one of the leading researchers in autism, that autism is kind of just hypermasculinity, and something that you see autism in a 4-to-1 rate of male to female. So there's definitely some interesting things of overdiagnosis, incorrect diagnosis, which I mean is an issue in all mental health.
Yeah, I don't buy the over masculinity hypothesis, but I like it. It makes me think of Sarah Connor's Terminator 2 statement when she looks at the Terminator and she's like, of all the men I could have fallen in love with, who would have become drunk, who would have beaten my child, I knew that the Terminator would never do. I knew that he would always be there to protect John. And to me, that's a little bit a description of a part of autism, which is the really Terminator aspect, the aspect where emotions won't matter. I won't matter about what people will care about what I do. But I think that autism in many environments could be a superior type of personality in terms of survival. Do you think so?
It's something I actually do think about. So, I mean, autism gives you deficits in certain aspects of life, obviously socially being one of the big ones, but they've seen they have big advantages in pattern recognition and certain things. So it's interesting to think about technology increasing as more and more information out there. You see stuff like 4chan where these people are able to, I mean, I don't know if they're actually autistic, but the autism on 4chan, the pattern recognition that these people are able to do, when you look at like, what was the the flag that they found in 4 different countries. I mean, there's something to the ability to pick up on patterns that they are just better than everyone else at.
I saw this one guy who like he was in a plane and then he like looked out the window and was able to draw the entire thing he saw, like all the buildings perfectly. Have you seen that? I'm sure you've
Yeah,
heard of that, right?
I've heard of that. Yeah, fascinating.
That's incredible. Why, when they have this, people in the chat are making jokes. If autism is a superpower, why why is it when you're so high functioning in that one area and you have amazing pattern recognition, does your like social ability start to decrease, like being afraid in like social situations? Or
So, one, I don't know why. I'm not sure if anyone knows why, but I wouldn't say that they're scared. They just do not understand how to interact with others. So, kind of just talking about kind of more what autism is. There's an idea of theory of mind, which is kind of understanding what other people are thinking, believing, what their desires are, and people with autism kind of lack this ability and kind of the classic diagnosis of this. So to better understand this idea, so there's an experiment that gets done. You have 2 little dolls.
Mm.
You set them on a table. They each have like a cup, an opaque cup in front of them, and one of them puts a ball under one cup. So doll one puts the ball under her cup, and doll one goes and walks away. And an autistic student's watching this. So the doll one's gone, and doll number 2 takes the ball out of doll number 1's cup, puts it under her cup, and then everything goes back to normal. Doll 1 comes back, and you ask the autistic student, where does doll number 1 think the ball is? Now, you and I would think that it would, doll number 1 would think it's still under her cup. She was gone when it was gone. But the autistic student will pick that other cup because they don't realize that the person number 1 doesn't have the same ideas that they have in their mind. So they're really lacking the ability to, kind of empathy is a general term, but in order to have a social interaction with someone, we have to kind of gauge how they're thinking when we're talking. I'm looking at your facial reactions, engaging what I'm saying by kind of the information that you're giving back to me. And with autism, they lack the ability to gather that information the same way that you and I do.
Okay,
I
so
have to say, I'll go ahead, Andy.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. So basically, if you were to like roll your eyes, they wouldn't pick that up and think like you're being uncomfortable or if they, get, because we're very observant creatures. So we look at someone like they're uncomfortable. Are they angry or this? But they don't pick that up, right?
So, and again, it's really an individual basis, case by case. So it's a spectrum for a reason. So like I have a student who loves Sonic. I mean, he fucking loves Sonic, and he'll talk to you about it for as long as you'll sit there. And you'll sit there and be doing the signs of looking away. I'll be checking my phone, kind of purposefully to see if he'll get the idea that I'm not interested in what he's saying, and he'll just keep talking. He does not pick up on any of the body language or cues at all, and he'll just keep telling me about every little piece of lore within the Sonic universe. So.
Have you ever been like, enough? I know, I get it.
Well, yeah, that's part of your job as a therapist is telling them, listen, some people don't want to talk about Sonic.
Oh, really?
Sometimes you have to stop after a minute or two. And so it's trying to teach them these social cues, which once you get to really talking about what is social communication, it is so complicated. And in every situation it is different. Every person you talk to, the rules are different. So explaining it is very, very difficult, but you have to try to say, hey, most people don't want to talk about Sonic for more than like a minute or two, if at all. And just being honest with the people you work with is kind of my philosophy.
So Andy, we have a super chat telling us a bad news. Interesting Euro, $20 US. Baked Alaska just got banned from live streaming tonight. It might be time to brainstorm different platforms, guys. I told you this would happen.
I mean, a problem, he had like mass flaggers on the video, and he's not verified on YouTube, so they sort of just allow the flags when you're not verified on YouTube. Luckily our channel is verified, so they like triple check. But basically, yeah, he got attacked there. I know he's talking to someone. I did speak to him before the show, and is my camera all wonky?
No.
God. No, it's good. Good. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So basically, he's got someone calling into YouTube, and they're gonna sort that out. Luckily, we're run by an MCM who has direct contact to YouTube. So if we ever get anything like that, He just phoned YouTube and we sorted it right out, right?
Cool.
Unfortunately, though, when you have a bunch of assholes who just want to flag you, I think it was the Andrew Anglin debate. I think
Okay.
it was that one. So maybe one time we'll have fucking Baked Alaska on here, talk about it or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's up to you.
All
But
right. And Morgan D, $20 US says autism doesn't just affect you socially and pattern wise, it can cause you to be highly sensitive to certain sounds, tastes, textures, as well as having very low tolerance to stress. It's not a superpower. Now, on the presentation that Virgil has done of autism, I will say this idea is classical that autists they don't understand social interaction or they have some problem generating theory of mind of others. I will say I doubt it in some cases. There's also other hypotheses of why autist people don't like social interactions, or some of them. And one of them is, for example, that autistic people could be over empath. Are you familiar with this theory, Virgil?
No, go ahead and explain it. I'll tell you what I think.
So the theory goes as follows. It's like autistic people, they perceive the social interactions. They have normal cognition to understand them, but they are very emotional about it, or their cognition is so acute about it that they notice all details. And a lot of the normal social interactions are filled with microaggressions, if you will. And the theory would be autistic people end up having difficulties interacting with people because they over process the social stimuli rather than under processing it or not being able to process it.
It's interesting. Just from my experience, that definitely would not be the case with people with kind of the lower functioning end of autism. I could see kind of it doesn't exist anymore in the U.S., but of what people would describe as Asperger's, that could possibly be something that I understood. And I actually personally like the classification of the difference between Asperger's and autism. I think they're kind of two very different things in my eyes. And
Yeah,
now that everything's all autism, I think it confuses things because you talk about autism and it can be, I mean, just two radically different people. Whereas you have Asperger's, kind of they're normal to high IQ people, more of what you're talking about of savant, maybe superpower skills. Whereas someone with autism, IQ is generally going to be lower, and they're just going to have a really hard time functioning. So that's an interesting theory.
and as far as IQ goes, there is the work of Laurent Motron in Montreal, which shows that a lot of the IQ of autists is under evaluated. Because there might be some problem in how motivated they are at showing their intelligence, and he's developed different tests that seem to show that we tend to underestimate the IQ of autistic people specifically, as opposed to normal people, by up to 10 or 15. Are you familiar with this proposition that maybe autistic people have more intelligence than they want to show?
I'm not familiar with it, but it's an interesting idea. But I think the issue that we are going to keep coming into is that I'm picturing my students in my head when you're talking about this, and these
Yeah,
are people that are not high IQ that just
yeah.
struggle with the basic functionings of life. And so it sounds like maybe you're talking about more of Asperger's type high functioning autism, which is I think a different category. Again, like I said, I think there needs to be two categories: Asperger's and autism.
Absolutely. I think that our two views come from really two different populations. I understand that there is such a thing as low functioning autism.
Mhm.
Personally, when I point to these people, I often talk about them as autistic people with mental disabilities. I guess that a lot of the child you work with also have comorbidity, if you will, other diagnosis.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, most have learning disabilities or just low IQs in general, which obviously a low IQ complicates your entire life.
Yeah.
are people able to live life? I mean, do you think and like have autism but never get it diagnosed and never know they have it?
Yes, yes, definitely. So, I mean, I'll give you some personal experience. So, my mom has Asperger's.
Okay.
Um, it's never been formally diagnosed, but she definitely has Asperger's. My brother has Asperger's as well. His is diagnosed. So it's certainly, and if you met them, you probably wouldn't know. There's either Asperger's is definitely more of a subtle thing, and it would be a process of getting to know them. Their eye contact's a little wonky. Um, ability to empathize can be a little off at times, but yes, certainly you can live a very normal life. I mean, my mom has Asperger's, but if you met her, you probably would have absolutely no idea.
Yeah. Well, people were like, "Well, of course, Andy." Well, I had a follow up statement.
Go ahead.
A few people on the Kumite the other day were saying I have autism, so I almost did a test, like one of those autism. You pick all the things, but we never did it. We never ended up doing it live. We were supposed to, but we got busy. You've seen the show before, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you think?
You definitely don't have autism. You definitely don't have autism.
Do you think I have autism?
No, I don't think either.
Oh, he took more time.
I did.
He was less sure.
Well, you
I have less autism
I'll tell
than
you why I hesitated. You guys talk about people, and it's a lot of people on this show, and it's not that they don't have autism, but they speak of people in statistics rather than as like actual individual people. So you guys are talking a lot about political things. We're talking about groups of people, and there seems to be a forgettingness. I don't know what that's obviously not a word, but that these are human beings that you're talking about. And it's just an interesting thing that on the show, there are a lot of people talk about like definitively of what they should do about people and different groups of people, and forgetting that these are humans you're talking about.
Okay. Hang on one second.
I mean, this guy has not watched enough of my videos. I do talk of humans, but I dissect them like cats on a lab bench. They're not human after I'm done with the video.
Actually, here's a good one. Colin J. Rob won through $10. Thank you very much. Says autism used to be 1 in 10,000. Now they say it's 1 in 68. Something is poisoning people, be it plastics, chemicals in the food and water, pesticides, or vaccines. Seems like a more serious problem. What do you think about that?
There's been a lot of talk of this. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there's certainly an element of it is just we've gotten better at diagnosing it. There's more awareness of it, so that's going to have some kind of effect. I have my own theory, which I have no evidence to back this up, but I think the technology does something to people. We lack social interaction in general. I mean, something that bothers me as a father, go out to dinner with my son. I don't let him have a phone, but I look around and I see a 2-year-old. They're just looking at a phone. They're not interacting with their parents, not interacting with them. They're not getting the practice of socialization. Kind of the more of what JF is talking about, people that are not super low functioning autism, but are just lacking some of the social skills or social reciprocity. And if you don't have the practice of doing this, I think there's a serious issue of technology, and that I don't know if anyone's getting poisoned. That very well may be. There are lots of chemicals in the water, but that's my own idea. I think there's probably 100 different factors influencing that.
It's definitely a measured thing in young people today that they are so habituated to chat and webcam interaction that they fixate less on the eyes when they get to school. Yep. There's just less of our life that is one-to-one interaction live.
Yeah, and it gets this like kind of a weird thing. Like I watch the show a good amount, and it's just, again, when you guys are talking, it's so interesting. It's so not what a normal human interaction is. The way people speak to each other, the aggressiveness, like it would just never happen if you and I met in person. But it's just an interesting thing. And then I think people think like this is how people talk to each other. And then you get into the real world and you just don't know what to do. People aren't screaming, calling each other autistic fucks. Like
you don't really say that like to people, like to their face regularly, I guess. Our show's a little bit of a special case. But and there was a good question here. One sec. Yeah, so Kelly Clark, $10. As someone who is a behavior specialist and I'm working towards being a behavior analyst, I am so happy that you guys are talking about this. Do you think that people now just use the word autism just like it's overused now to the point where like it's like a joke almost?
It definitely is a joke, but it's a damn good descriptor. Yeah, Oh, I mean, if you work in this field, you have to laugh, or you'll just go home crying every night. I mean, you're exposed to just horror every day and agony every day, and you have to be able to laugh. It's like you could go to an ER, they're laughing about the things that happen. And honestly, autism's a good insult for a lot of people online. They act autistic as fuck. Like it is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an increasing identification with autism, and I would say shows like The Big Bang Theory are examples of mainstreaming even the idea of autism being the new sexy. This is my sentence. Autism is the new sexy. Uh, did you see that progression within the last 10 years?
I fucking hate that show. It's so
Oh
cancerous.
no,
It's
I
so
love it.
cancerous.
This guy is so different from me.
I don't know. It's hard, but like I would say, like on the internet, there's definitely an identification with autism, but again, in the real world, I don't think it's gotten there yet.
Oh, I tell you, it's on in the universities.
It may be. It
I
may
had
be.
a lot of researchers. They were making autistic jokes every day, and like I was like, "Oh God, I'm autistic," and I had female researchers beside me saying, "JF, we're all autistic."
Oh shit. Yeah, fucking and then she also adds that girl just adds a Kelly Clark $10. Also, it isn't that something is poisoning us, it is better ability to diagnose and the fact that people can't get help without diagnosis, so it may be an overdiagnosis. Do you think people are being overdiagnosed with everything under the sun?
Well, I mean, with autism, I'm not sure. There's certain definitely like ADHD is horrendously overdiagnosed. To give one, but autism, it's definitely. I don't know if overdiagnosed. Just it maybe just be identified more clearly. Where you have people like I was describing before, like my mother who didn't get a diagnosis. No one really knew what autism was back then. Where if she was in the school system nowadays, she probably would have been diagnosed. So I think it's again, I see the world as extraordinarily complex, and to say that one thing is causing the increase in autism, I think is just kind of ignorant to assume that we know that it's overdiagnosis or if it's chemicals in the water or if it's the food that we're eating. I mean, there's just so much stuff. I mean, the world is such a complex place.
What's
I
the
mean,
sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
to me, it makes no doubt that diagnosis has increased.
Yeah.
The kind of social impairments that we talk about today, back in the days, it wouldn't have been even considered an impairment. So to me, it's no question that the diagnosis component is important here, and I'm severely critical of diagnosis because in medical sciences we have a test for each pill, which is a placebo test, and if the pill doesn't improve your life more than a placebo, it won't be marketed, or at least it shouldn't. Unless there's fraud, we expect that it will not be marketed. The problem with diagnosis is that diagnosis is not subject to the test of does it improve people's lives. And I believe that with autistic diagnosis specifically, and some other diagnosis, we are not improving people's lives, we are making it worse. When we convince someone who has a very mild intellectual defect that she's part of a category or is part of a category, we don't know what we cause in children's lives when we do this, and we assume that because we classify it in a category that the school system will do better with this kid, but we don't know that, we haven't measured this. Do you take issue with the amount of the lack of knowledge about the consequences of a diagnosis in a child's life?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll just give you my personal experience with this. I actually find people really like diagnosis, being diagnosed. It You go from just thinking that there's something you just don't know what's wrong with you. You think you're just fucking weird or you're broken or you're worthless. And then all of a sudden tells you that all these horrible things that you think are surrounding you, it's really just this one thing. And it is a problem. But there are things then you then can do about this problem that will hopefully improve your life. On the To address another point you said, the school systems are fucked. The school systems don't know what they're doing. they do not serve disabled students well. I mean, the school system as a structure is not set up for autistic students, for disabled students. It's set up for normal functioning students, and we're pushing disabled students through this system that's not meant for them. So I actually find diagnosis to be extraordinarily helpful for a lot of students. I'm sure there's cases when it's not. But I think if you explain to a student in an honest, empathic way that, listen, this seems to be what's going on with you, and these things seem to help you, and these are some of the things that you're going to have difficulty with, it actually kind of empowers them to then be able to figure out how they can manage their own lives.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what's because yeah, that must be uncomfortable. Be like, hey Johnny, just want to say I think you may be autistic. Like it's pretty awkward to bring up to someone, and there's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? What's the sign that you would walk up to someone and go, listen, we have to run some tests. Not trying to be a dick here.
Well, so it's hard for me. Like, so I'm at a school where every student has a disability, and so, I mean, again, that's a big part of my job is we have students that are 20 years old, don't know what their diagnosis is, and part of my job is you have this problem. It is what it is, and it's going to affect you your entire life in certain ways, and you need to understand this because if you don't understand this, people will take advantage of you. Life will be much more difficult than it has to be. And we're all people. We all have our own individualized problems. I think it's very important for us to understand that so then we can navigate the world however we see fit, understanding our limitations as well as our strengths.
So we have a super chat from John Cena. Hi, John. I really love your WWE stuff. $5 US. He says, I have Asperger's and I call people retarded all the time. Sadly, some of my autism brothers don't understand jokes. Andy, I love you. Please kiss. Smiley. This makes me think about the
he said
surrounding of
it was
autistic people.
no,
Sometimes, go ahead, Andy.
it's KYS. Kill yourself.
Kill yourself. I thought it meant kiss.
It's the opposite of kiss.
You're telling me that all these people who sent me kiss, they meant kill yourself for the last 2 years?
Yeah,
oh, shit. There's a lot of people not loving me.
No, you've been living like,
I thought they were kissing me. Your Honor, I thought she said she wanted to kiss me.
You're like, wow, everyone's so nice to me. Wow. You must have been so like weirded out when it was like a hate comment and there's a kiss. You're like, I was just joking around.
Yeah, so what I was about to ask is the people around the autist. To me, they are a large part of the problem. Do you deal with training people on how to interact with their autist friend or son or daughter?
Ideally, yes. I work with a the population I work with is very unique. So we have almost no parental interaction, which is detrimental definitely to the students, but definitely we try to work with staff. Again, this is a low paying job. So in the US where I work in a big city area. People working there are making under $30,000 a year. So you're not getting highly educated people. You're getting people that may have disabilities themselves. And so I will do my best to train them. But no, the people in their lives definitely do not help. I would say, in my experience, like 95% of the time, they're making the problem worse.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. They impose such a social burden when the autist guy or girl can be happy if you leave them alone and you don't demand too much social stuff from them.
Yeah, and part of it for me was, especially with the autistic students, like, listen, you're about to graduate high school. Like, you need to find a job where you don't talk to people, and that's fine. You can go work behind a computer, go work in a storeroom, whatever it is. Don't go find a job. Don't have my job. Don't have a job where you're talking to people all day. You're gonna hate it, and you're gonna be really bad at it.
Yeah. Is it okay if you get annoyed at autistic people who don't stop talking to you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, part of it is
you're like, oh, you stop being so mean. Like he just doesn't. He's just talk. It's nonstop. This is one guy I used to work with. You know, he was doing like more of the smaller tasks at the job. You know, that's fine. And it was, look, nice guy. I didn't hate him, but at certain points, dude, I had to just go, look, dude, leave me alone. He's like, did you hear John did this and then blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Oh my, am I a bad person, JF? Am I a bad person that I just fuck up there? Oh
I
God.
mean, it's no, you're not a bad person. You're just a normal person. Personally, I enjoy that.
Well,
There's an autist
Oh no,
person in my life.
it's okay for a bit, but then after, month 4, I'm just like, bro, I'm
There's someone autistic that I know who every time I see that person, they're like, "So is pornography wrong, JF?" And I'm like, "Depends what kind of pornography." And they're like, "Pornography adults." And I'm like, "Pornography adult is fine."
does not sound good.
Jesus Christ. Arthur says for 5NZ, is there a known race correlation with autism or any correlation with fathers, age, slash experiences and autism? So like,
I mean, what I know about it is there's a huge genetic component to it, and as far as I know, there's not that I've seen as far as a race issue, but I mean, highly correlates with genetics, so it's highly heritable. And even if you have, so if you have a parent with autism, they have an autistic child, even if the sibling's not autistic, they will score higher on ratings of kind of autistic behaviors. So they won't be autistic, but they'll still have a bit of the tism.
okay, okay. No, so we're chuckling between every fucking answer.
Well, I mean, listen, guys, the people that do this for a living, you have to laugh at this stuff. You have to. Like the people, I don't know how you can't. If you take it seriously, you're gonna cry.
No, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Chris, who's the booker and producer, right? He used to work at a home for severely disabled people,
Mhm.
right? And he'd just make it home like when he was living here, he'd make it home and be like, this guy threw shit at me. And he's like laughing. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, no, you have to laugh at it.
Yeah, you do. Oh, I mean, I've seen
Don't laugh
kids.
at it.
I mean, we have rooms. So, like at my school, if students become aggressive, we have to physically restrain them, put them in
Yeah.
a room. And I mean, I've had a kid that had a. I mean, to me it was funny, but I mean, if you think about it too hard, it hurts. But this kid was 9 year old, took all pants off, underwear off, hoodie on, sucking his thumb, and just pissed in a circle around the room.
Oh,
But
oh.
I mean, it's like, what can you do? It's the most bizarre situation, but you just gotta laugh.
Yeah, yeah. And Chris, he worked with the ones, I think it was like the 5 most dangerous special needs people in Canada because they're like over 300 pounds. They're 6'5", and their thing in their mind is kill, is murder. It's like
Yeah.
zombies.
Oh yeah.
And they used fucking a cattle prods
Not use that in my experience, but I mean,
or tasers, like shock, like he's like, you have to
I think
shock them.
I talked to Chris for a bit. He said they would actually do electroshock therapy for them. So I don't know if they actually cattle prodded them when they were being aggressive, or if it was
He
actually part
used
of
the
the
word
therapy.
cattle prod for me. He said they have sticks that
They may.
electrocute them because there's like little girls, like a girl who's like 22 versus a 6'5", 300-pounder with sharp nails ready to murder her. Then they're just like, oh,
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't
I've
fucking
been
care if they're
owned.
special needs. Like, I'm not gonna let them hurt me. Like, fuck that. Like,
Or you clothesline one.
no, I mean, I've restrained students all the time in my work. I'm the person that trains everyone else to restrain them.
Do you
They're
ever
not.
just go like, try it? I'm waiting. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
I've
it
been doing
happens.
push-ups all morning.
No, no, but all serious people do that and then provoke fights. I try my
Really?
best not to touch the students. There are some really horrible people that work in this field and that are just unprofessional. That
Would you
just have
start
don't.
battles?
Oh yeah,
Wow. Well, I'm sorry for
I've seen a teacher close a door and a student and just said, "Come at me," and then so the kid came at him and they fought.
What? What
And
happened to that person?
nothing. It was my first week on. It was like my first week on the job, and I just as soon as this happened, I just walked out of the room. I was just like, nope.
So some of these people who work in this field are using this as Fight Club.
I wouldn't say this guy had a lot of problems in his life, and unfortunately could not control himself the way he needed to at work. I mean, but
It's
again,
autism blood sports, Andy. Everyone knows this, anyways. Almost everyone who goes into psychology or sociology, they all have problems in
oh
their
yeah.
life.
Well, this guy, I mean, this was a guy, a TA making $20,000. He is not a psychologist, and that's, I mean, the issue is that no one is educated other than the clinicians that are working there. And then beyond that, I mean, God, the place I work at is such a clusterfuck. It's like I can't even describe it.
Yeah. Chris had to wear a cap, but really it was like a hard hat. But just looked like a cap. Like it was just like a fake. He made
Yeah.
a whole one day. Actually, he was on the phone with me one day, right? And I didn't know like what he was doing there, like or how he worked or whatever. I just knew he worked there. So I'm on the phone with him one day, and he's in the room with one of them. And the guy just won't stop talking. And Chris just like he's like, yeah, and then or hang on a second. Shut up! Just shut up. Anyway, sorry about that, man. I'm like, Jesus, he's like, you have to, man. You have to, or they don't shut up. Actually, here's a good one since you brought up Sonic, okay? Cosmic Dorgan, $5, and this has been like widely known throughout throughout YouTube.
Oh, you
Oh,
cut yourself,
we
Andy.
lost you, buddy.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Just one sec. My camera is just freezing up.
All right. Now, while Andy is gone, I will say personally, I've never had fights with autistic people because everyone I worked with, even back when I was doing clinical work, it was all high functioning autistic people, and no one was violent in there. But as a biologist, I did fight with monkeys. And my trick with monkeys is to catch their hands and put them behind their back, and then they walk like a little prisoner. They become all submissive.
That is the double armbar hold. That's the classic when you have to restrain people.
Yeah, so yeah, the thing is, Cosmic Dorgan, $5. Dear Mr. Scientist, sir, do you have any theories as to why Sonic is extremely popular with the autistic?
Dude, all I know is that it is. Like, I've had at least 4 or 5 students that just are obsessed with it. Dude, I don't fucking know. He goes fast and he doesn't talk. Like, that's all I got. But it's true. It's fucking true.
There's a lot of Sonic videos out there, and you watch them and you're like, interesting. Does this mean everyone who likes Sonic is autistic?
I mean, I'm sure there's that threshold. If you just like Sonic a little too much, probably. That's probably $1 million idea right there. You can
Why not like Mario?
Sonic was a very bizarre game, I have to say, for the time. As an historian, I consider myself an historian of video games, and particularly that period. Sonic had sounds that were super stimuli. You could slide on things that were literally uncontrollable. You were just following whatever the game was doing because your Sonic was doing rounds and rounds. This is not like Mario where you can you can take the time with Mario Bros to hit your block, take your mushroom, just kick the turtle slowly. With Sonic, it's like
it certainly has a hell of a lot more sensory components to it, which is that's a big thing with autism.
There's tails. There's like 2 tails and he flies and Knuckles. And then there's like, and also the amount of fucking Sonic porn.
Oh, dude, there's a lot of.
I'm not aware of this.
My kids.
Whoa. Virgil, did you just hear what JF just said?
No, what was it?
He's not aware of Sonic porn.
I heard what Virgil said, which is that he's aware of Sonic porn.
Yeah, a lot of my students are really into like weird furry art stuff.
I think
this whole furry thing, I don't get it.
I don't either.
That's just trolling, right? They don't actually like the furries.
No, man, they do.
It's trolling, like Andy.
It's not trolling. What do you mean it's trolling?
I've seen a troll. I've seen one of these furries come to Milo Yiannopoulos during one conference. This guy is a troll. He's not a true furry fan.
Well, look, there are probably furries who just troll, but there are literal like conventions where they go and they're all in furry stuff, and then there's like orgies and shit, and they're in their suits.
Oh yeah, they have this thing called a yiff bag, which is where they stick their dick in, but you can't have sex with in this big mascot costume. So it's like I think it's kind of like a fleshlight where they're like simulating having sex, but they're actually there's a little bag. It's called the yiff bag.
JF,
It's where you yiff.
The state of degeneracy, and
you think it's
I
degeneracy?
prefer staying in my ultra safe space. I'm believing that these guys are just trolling or they're the representation of the devil on earth. I don't know what they're
Wait,
doing.
what? People have their kinks and their fetishes. People like you know what hentai is, right? JF?
Hentai, yeah, it's the Japanese porn.
The drawn porn, like the
Yeah, yeah.
cartoon anime.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and these tentacle stuff, right?
the tentacle stuff. Do you think
Yeah.
that's degeneracy?
Oh, I mean, personally, all of these special sex things outside of the reproductive line, I don't care at all about it. I'm a traditionalist.
What?
To
Oh,
me, sex is about penis to vagina without a condom for the purpose of baby production. Andy,
so okay. So hang on, I'm gonna ask you. Do you watch porn?
do you? Well, I know what porn is. I've seen porn. I don't watch it regularly. No.
Okay, but you've watched porn.
As part of my collection on social media of information from the world, I did view these porn videos in front of me.
Now I think you're autistic.
Yo, what? Yeah. Really?
I mean,
Like,
I'm not a. I'm seriously not a consumer of porn.
how about when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, there were parts of my life where I could watch porn. I don't know, 20 times a year.
20 times? That's like a weekend for me.
Jeff, can I ask you, have you always had this idea of sex?
The what?
Have you always had this idea of sex being only about procreation? Just curious.
Honestly, yeah. I think I'm born like this.
Whatever, man.
I find like a lot of people on the right have this viewpoint. If you're not doing it for reproductive purposes, like
what about if you're married and it's not no degeneracy, but as a pair bonding experience?
Yeah. Jeff, a question for you.
Yeah.
Virgil Riesta?
So I was saying.
Oh, that was a question for me. Sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah. So
I was reading the chat, judging my porn habits as being not enough porn for some reason.
I was just saying, if say none of the degeneracy, but if not for procreation, but as pair bonding between two people.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've engaged in countless acts of sex that were not directed at reproduction, but in my mind, it was like, yeah, it was like you described. It was like, let's get some practice for the baby.
Wait, is that what it? But all right, then maybe people are watching porn not only to be turned on, but to learn how to do it for reproductive purposes.
I don't object to porn. I don't morally judge people who do porn. I just reported to you the frequency of my porn use right now is very low.
Okay, fair enough.
Judge me for it.
I'm not judging you. No.
I'm telling the internet.
I have my ons and offs. Like I'll not watch it for a while, and then I'll have like a little spell, and then after the shame settles in, after heading down the rabbit hole, because you can't just watch. Like, here's the worst one: just regular, like, oh my god, yeah, you like that, and you're like, this is fake. It has to be like that, fucking what do you call it? Homegrown shit.
Mm-hmm.
Homegrown.
Amateur.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Actually, they were. I don't know if you guys. Brett Weinstein was talking about this actually. There's something that I think amateur porn captures if just it's real. There's actually like two real people having sex. And you watch like porn nowadays. I mean, it almost looks like it's like CGI with the amount of makeup, the noises that they're making. It's so unnatural.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, I've never done this before. Smash cut 1 minute later. She's doing things that no woman has ever tried before.
This has been very weird to me in the last 2 or 3 years of porn. You go on and like every porn title on the front page is like brother sister porn. and like
That's
weird
the
incest
top
titles.
rated
I don't
all
get
the
it.
time.
I'm so
Brother,
confused
sister
by it.
porn.
Yeah,
Dude,
and
Pornhub, first of
Russian
all.
mom. It's like
It's so
all over the
weird.
fucking top rated shit. If you see,
My God, you guys
Chris
are
will talk
at the
about
edge. I've never
no,
heard of
no,
these
dude,
things.
No, this is
dude,
the front page, my man.
this is front page. This is
I've
like
never heard of
imagine.
this stuff.
So Chris and I were actually talking about this. We were just like randomly talking about porn at one point. I'm like, dude, have you noticed when you hit top rated, it's all like fucking family shit. He's like, yeah, what the it's
It's
like, oh my
really
God.
fucking weird. I don't even know, and it's like popped up in the last like 2 or 3 years, and I don't know what that says about society.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, and this is top rated. Like sometimes I hit the top rated and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm vibing with the same page as the rest of the world right now. JF, I feel like we're teaching JF about porn right now.
I'm really happy to learn about porn. I mean, porn for someone like me who likes to catalog things and collect stuff, it's a world of pleasure. And you can categorize
it
porn
is.
in all sorts
Fuck
of
yeah.
ways. And I love semantic categorization. I love creating database of information on arbitrary stimuli. But I've never heard of the latest porn stuff.
The more you talk, the more autistic you're getting.
See, this guy just didn't watch my videos. I knew that I was.
I know, I really haven't. I've only seen you on here.
I mean, I've spent 7 years of my life just accumulating data on a computer. I have to be autistic somehow.
No, and I think I think honestly, like, and it's not saying you are, maybe you are, but the great scientists, I think, need autism. That level of obsession to find a solution to a complex problem, I don't think is in normal human beings, and we need certain amounts of those people in the world, like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton. They were autistic from all accounts, and they changed the world. So I mean, there is something to those superpowers that people talk about.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious, JF. That's so fucking. I need this stuff at like fucking 18. I'm 30. Jesus Christ. So yeah, so furries, yeah, they exist. All right. Porn's getting way more degenerate. Do you think though, Virgil, now that we're talking about this in the past 2 years, the way top rated is going, back in the day when all these free porn sites, back in my day, when there was only
Andy,
you porn.
this is the episode where you've been the most involved. My top rated section, what's happening to it? Andy has his first reaction on Warski Live. And it's because his top rated porn site is getting invaded by the preferences of others. How degenerate is that? Bring me back my good old blowjob porn basic.
The basic. Yeah, but do you think it's because porn's been out for so long now and it's free and all that bullshit that people are getting more so desensitized that they have to just start seeing way more intense shit?
Oh, dude, I mean, you know what it was like
Just
to be
to feel-
like 18. You fucking go down the rabbit hole and like you get desensitized. Yeah, like you go to missionary and you're like, all right, cool, this is cool when you're 14, and then you just start getting into weirder and weirder and weirder shit. And I mean, so I grew up. I'm 31 now.
Virgil knows what I'm saying. Virgil knows what I'm saying.
With the generation we grew up just when the internet was starting, so internet porn was few and far between. I can't imagine growing up nowadays with the amount of access to porn. I mean, it really is like it would distort your mind so badly of what you think sex would actually be like when you finally had it. God, it would fuck you up so bad.
Yeah, we had to do the scrambled porn.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, and you get like
have you heard
1
of this
second at like 1 second from it's the Spice Network, at least in the US. You get like 1 second of clarity for like 2 minutes, and you just fucking stare at that screen.
2 minutes? No, not 2 minutes.
Oh,
you would have to JF, you know what we're talking about?
No.
All right, so okay, I'm teaching fucking Papa JF today. All right, this is my expertise. This is where my high IQ comes in, right? Where all your IQ points went to,
See, Andy's autistic in the porn realm.
Back in the day, you go into when it was just cable. It was just cable, no anything else. On the higher channels, like past like channel 80, they'd have porn channels,
Oh yeah.
but they were like blurred out. It was like,
Yeah, yeah.
but then for like a split second, you'd see a tit.
Mm.
Oh, and you
God,
felt
man.
penetration. You walked out of the room. You're like, I am done. I am. And now there's fucking kids have access to like bukkake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that like
One thing
a
I've noticed, I felt the world of porn through women. There's lots of women who were coming in my life and they were like, I want to get fucked in the ass. I was like, shit, do I really have to do this?
have you
The,
did it?
the ass has not
Wait,
evolved to welcome a penis.
wait, but did you anyway?
No,
To keep
never
no?
engaged with ass sex. No, not my thing.
Have you tried it? And then you're like,
I'm a
I don't
surgeon,
know.
I'm a biologist. I know exactly what the rectum looks like. It's not a place for the penis, Andy.
You never thought about it.
No, never wanted to do it. I've denied dozens of women literally as sex.
Dozens.
Dozens of women. I said no to anal sex. I said get the fuck out.
You've got men out there who are like begging their wife, I'll buy you a boat. Just let me do it. And then Jeff's like, I've denied dozens, not a
Oh,
dozen.
I've denied it to beautiful, beautiful women. I'm sorry, but I'm not engaging in that.
What, they just ask you?
I said that I denied it to very extremely beautiful women, but
No,
it's
yeah,
totally.
but I'm saying they would ask you like
Oh
over
yeah,
like tea.
oh yeah. They were like, okay, now I'm done doing all the stuff I wanted for the 3 days. Now I'd like to try anal sex, JF. And I
Three
was like,
days.
no. Well, yeah, like the first day you kiss her, and the second day you fuck her, and the third day she's like, I want to suck your dick. And the
What?
fourth day she was like, fuck me in the ass now. And I was like, no, get the fuck out.
That escalated very quickly.
Oh yeah, I
You
mean,
hearing this shit?
Usually the blowjob comes first before you fuck her.
Yeah.
really? Blowjob is a first step? I wasn't aware.
Yeah, that's like, well, I'd say like back in the day, it was a hand job first, which not even, I'll just do it myself. Thank you very much. I'm better at it than you. And then,
I don't know, man. Sometimes a handy can be great.
you know what? Fair enough. A lot of girls don't know how to do it though.
That is true.
They're just, I'm like, what are you doing there?
No, I've had a couple bad experiences.
Yeah. Oh, and when they're bad, they're bad. Yeah.
Oh.
And then it'd be fucking BJ, right? And then banging. But the anal sex, that's like, I don't know. You have to like be like dating them for a bit.
Nah, the world has changed.
See, maybe, yeah, maybe I'm in a relationship. Maybe I don't know like what it's out there right now. Apparently, there's girls just getting asking to get fucked in the ass.
I think
I'm
you're not
fumbling
really
now.
profiting from your YouTube celebrity, Andy.
Huh?
I think you're not using the full extent of your YouTube celebrity.
I can't.
I
Hashtag me
can't.
too. Hashtag me too is existing right now. And the girl's like, oh my God, Andy. It's like, hey, oh my God, I was raped yesterday by Warski. You can't do
Oh
that
yeah.
now. We're not living in this kind of world. What if someone set that up to fuck me over?
Oh, I mean, it happened to me, and fuck them, really. They said yes, fuck them.
Yeah. So Black Magic threw $5 to say at JF, Pornhub compiles statistics and metrics very well. You may want to look into it. Winky
Some
smile.
nice graphs on there.
Oh, dude, they've had some fascinating tweets of I can't remember what they are, but they really do have some great data on there.
Really?
Yeah.
How did this conversation turn to sex so much?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was about autism.
I changed the title. I added to it. I had to.
Living with autism and adult videos. Andy, you are terrible at title
Oh
writing.
shit! That's right.
Oh my god.
It's like
That
the
makes-
autistic people come with their adult videos and you have to live with both of them.
How should I title this? Living with autism, and also talking about adult videos.
Well, if if we want to get back on topic, the reason I had emailed you guys was when JF, you were debating about Destiny, about the girl that you had been with autism, and I mean, just some of the things he was saying was so bizarre to me. And so I actually was just interested in talking to you about it, just to see if we could understand better, maybe even to clear your name a bit, of who this girl was
Absolutely.
and what her
Let's
difficulties
do that.
exactly were. Because one of the things that stood out to me was, I don't know what these documents were or anything, but he kept saying the mind of a 12-year-old. And I don't know what that means, because that could mean academically, socially, cognitively, like in what domain does that
Yeah.
exactly mean?
As soon as someone tells you she had the mind of a 12 years old and she had 19 years old, you know that you're not talking about an experienced psychiatrist and you're not talking about a true professional of mental health. They don't do that kind of broad categorization. The story of the 12 years old mentally came from a false claim by a lawyer of her father who wanted to find her mentally incompetent, to
Mhm.
kidnap her, literally. And he had the lawyer just lie, and the lawyer said Dr. Mark Thompson found out that she was 12 years old of mental age, or 11 years old, I don't remember.
So wait, can I? Are you saying liar or lawyer?
Liar. He's a liar, but he lied.
Gotcha. Okay. So both.
Because the person that he attributed the statement to is not a doctor.
Okay.
Mark Thompson was an employee of the family. He was a general counselor and manager for the family. He had been paid for 10 years by the family. So they had him say Dr. Mark Thompson, but he's not a doctor, and he's in a conflict of interest with the family, but he gave his name to soil the name of my ex-fiancée, and picture her as a 12 years old mentally, when in fact she was succeeding at university courses. So when a 12 years old succeeds at university courses, there's something wrong. Either your 12-year-old evaluation of her intellectual capacities is wrong, or she's just a savant 12 years old. In fact, none of these hypotheses were true. The fact is, she was a 19-year-old and a very intelligent one.
So all I can say is that in all of the psychological testing that I read, and I do quite a bit of it in my job, in no time has anyone ever described a student at a mental age in whole. It's just not
Yeah.
something that's ever done or I've ever seen done. So if it is, it's not something that I'm aware of. So that was the first thing that stood out to me as just bizarre.
Really?
Mhm.
So yeah, like you wouldn't just say the age of
So
what you
I'll
would.
tell you kind of what it looks like. So when you do
Sure.
tests, like psychological testing, at least where I'm at the school, you look at academic functioning. So you would not give an age level, you would give a grade level. So reading, writing, and math, you would get a grade equivalent essentially.
Okay.
For behaviors, it's not has nothing to do with ages. You're looking at heightened aggression or heightened inattentiveness. So you're looking for certain symptoms and those being heightened. So it has nothing to do with age. So it seems like a very odd statement to be made. And so I mean, it makes his story makes sense if this was not in a clinician, but it's nothing I've ever heard a clinician ever say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the lawyer who wrote that statement, right?
Yeah, the lawyer said Dr. Mark Thompson found her to be 12 years old of mental age. And even Mark Thompson was not a doctor. So it was a lawyer lying about a non doctor making that statement, who was actually a paid employee of the father of this lady.
Yeah, and then the actual doctor who did the study said high functioning,
He
said
said high
no age.
functioning, mild autism, no intellectual impairment, and capacity to understand everything around her. Is functional, and in fact she was never found to be by any court. She was never declared to be unable to consent to sex or to love. She was just found to be put in the care of her parents in terms of finances and living situation.
Yeah, so I've never actually even had a student. I work with some pretty disabled students that lose their ability to make decisions after 18. I've never even heard of that happening. And again, I work with students with intellectual disabilities, so IQs lower than 70, who really are incapable of making decisions, but no one goes to the court and does that. It just seemed a bit
Yeah,
odd.
This is a terrible system of court that is called the probate court. And in my case, it was an ex parte probate court hearing. That means the person gets found mentally incompetent in her absence and against her consent. It's a terrible process. And there's currently more than 100,000 requests for probate court hearings just in one of the states of the US. So if I think it was Florida or California, I don't remember. I looked at the statistics. So we're talking about something that is more and more requested, and there are prominent cases that have reached the Supreme Court where these things are being used by frustrated parents to keep their young daughter especially from engaging in consensual sex. They make her look like she's crazy, and the courts, if you pay the lawyers that are friends with the judge, you're going to get your order.
Never heard of that, but that sounds horrible. I mean, even people with disability, and this is the other big contention I would say I had, is that these are, again, people. And people have sexual desires.
Mhm.
People have desires to be with other people, and to say that because they have a disability that they cannot engage with another person, I think is wrong. But I think on the other side of it, there needs to be nuance, is that people with disabilities are taken advantage of at a more high frequency and a higher rate than normal population. So there is a legitimate concern there, but again, as Destiny is not a clinician, he did not know this girl personally. And so to make any kind of a judgment, I think is highly inappropriate. Again, I'm not going to make a judgment because I've never met this girl personally. And I think if you don't know someone at an individual level, you have no right saying what they can and cannot do with their bodies.
Did you see what Thunderfoot did?
So I did. And so I think that I'm going to be charitable. I'm usually a very charitable person. I think he was trying to visualize that JF was dating someone with a disability, and that was the meme. And Down syndrome has an obvious facial feature associated with
I
it.
don't know what you're talking about.
But obviously, it's just what, a dig at JF with no substance behind it, and I mean, he just looks dumb. It just looks dumb. But I think I would imagine, being charitable, that's probably what he's going with. JF, you dated not a disabled person. Great meme.
Yeah, but I mean, I respect your desire to be charitable, but when you attack public personalities, that's why, to me, it's a rule that I wouldn't attack someone on their personal life unless they make the statement to me. So, for example, I will often make jokes about Sargon of Akkad's caring for the black child of his wife, or even the joke has now moved to the dinosaur baby of his wife. But that's because Sargon of Akkad once came to my chat on a stream and he said, "I'm caring for my my wife's black child." So I know that it's in the game, it's in the things that he consents to, that I make these jokes. And he also told me that it was a joke and that in fact he's not caring for his wife's black son. What he calls his wife's black son is actually his biological son. And so to me, when you get outside of the boundaries that the person has imposed on you, you are potentially hurting other people. And that's what Thunderfoot does. When he represents my ex-fiance, who was a beautiful and very intelligent person, as a Down syndrome person, and he makes it look like she's like heavily handicapped, he is hurting her potentially and hurting my son when he reveals the name of my son. And so that's why, as a public personality, to me, I won't be as generous as you are.
Oh, of
He
course not.
has he has revealed stuff, and it's not even that I'm. It's not even the emotional thing to me. It's that he hurts people around me, and he doesn't care. So
Oh, yeah,
I
I guess I
certainly.
was ascribing his intent, whereas the effect is, I don't, as someone, I don't care about intents very much. I think intents is, it's okay, it's important, but what the effect is really what's important. And if it's harming someone else, it's harming, as you said, possibly this girl or your child. All right, go at him as hard as you want. Fuck him.
And it's funny what you described about intent and action, because that's a feature of autism. I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of work. I think there was a PNAS paper on that where the final outcome of the action is much more important to autistic people than the intent that led to it.
I don't, I mean, that's fascinating. I think the outcome is much more important in the real world. It's just, I mean, it's, what happens to you. I mean, Hitler had good intents.
But what they had as an experiment, they did a lab experiment where they tell the story of a muffin, someone eating a muffin. And then they have two scenarios. In one case, the muffin was accidentally poisoned. And in another case, the muffin was intentionally poisoned. And they found that the autistic people were reacting much more, even in the case of accidental, they were attributing much more guilt and much more fear to the actor, even if there was no intent to poison.
That actually makes sense with the students I work with. They would it's like something happens and you try to explain to them like why it happened and it just doesn't matter. It's like the effect is all they can focus on, and this is part of his perseveration is with something with autism, and that's just kind of this hyper focus on something that has happened and they cannot get their minds off of it. So whatever the effect is, sometimes these students will just focus on it, and even if they tend to was accidental or anything, it's completely irrelevant in their minds.
And I think it's a good way to live also. I'm just like you. I agree that it's not only a feature of autism, but it's also a good way to protect yourself against those people who arrange situations so that they don't have to intend stuff, but they will still hurt you in some way, or they will still gain to their advantage without even having to display intent. They will just arrange situations in which the outcomes are good for them. And then they'll be like, oh no, I didn't want that. I
Oh my
just
god. Yep.
I deserved it.
Yeah, it's interesting as a clinician when you just your job is just to observe people very, very closely. I've done this for 8 years now, and you start noticing what people say is mostly irrelevant. It's you need to look at people's actions, and people can say things. People say 100 different things, and look how they behave, and that will show you what they believe, what they're actually thinking. And most of the time, people are saying things either to make the other person feel better or to make themselves feel better. And I would say most of what people are saying, there's a hint of a lie in almost everything everyone says.
Mhm. What's the okay? So obviously, the people who are attacking JF are trying to say that this person had special needs to the point where you shouldn't be fucking them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, where on the spectrum is it okay to fuck, and then where does it hit where you're like, okay, this is I was trying forever to think of how to ask this
No, I think
politely.
that's a completely legitimate
Like
question.
one's like, oh yeah, you could fucking do it. Yeah, oh boy. No, not that one.
Again, I know I'm probably boring to people, but it's a nuanced answer. You have to know the individual. It's like everyone has their own issues, and I haven't, it's not something I've thought about, but I mean, there's
We'll
some people
start
that,
thinking.
yeah,
That's what I
I
do
mean,
here. That's what I do.
I'm having a hard time really saying anything. I mean, if a person can kind of take care of their basic life needs, and if they want to have sex with someone, I mean, it's you have to look at each situation. So I mean, there's obvious the more disabled someone is, I would say the higher chance they have of being taken advantage of by someone else, and that's a real thing that happens. But again, they're adults, they're humans, they want to have sex. Let them fuck.
Mhm. How
And
how would you?
there's a huge schism between the fact that most actually non-diagnosed people are stupid and they make stupid life choices. But in our society, it's like when the diagnosis falls on your head, then everyone around you is like, "Oh, we need to control her life. We need to check if she's okay." But in the end, there are lots of undiagnosed people out there who are half the IQ of my ex fiance.
Mhm.
So that's quite funny. In fact, there are entire countries that have an average IQ lower than my ex fiance. So it's quite funny when I hear, Jeff, you fucked a retard. Well, first, the retard is the label that you put on her. She may just not care about displaying intelligence in IQ tests, but she is a very intelligent being. You could see it as soon as you talked to her and you understood her. And secondly, there are countries of people, by your definition, who are currently getting raped. They're too stupid to have sex.
No, I mean that's exactly right. I mean, and it just seems insane to me. And I mean, there's so many stupid people doing incredibly stupid and malevolent things in this world. They get to have sex. So why not this girl? Again, if what you're saying is true, she's high functioning, she's intelligent, she's in college, she surely can make that decision for herself.
Yeah, people are just fucking. They're trying everything instead of attacking JF's
Well,
ideas or debating him.
it's
They
obvious. It's completely ideological to me. These people are ideologically against your beliefs, and so they're gonna use any tactic in the book. I mean, that's what it seems like very obviously to me.
Yeah. But wait, this is an interesting one. Ministry of Wrongthink through 1111. Thank you very much. Is Asperger's the same as high functioning autism? And is someone with Asperger's doomed to have a beta male characteristic or
Okay,
beta
well,
male
so
characteristics?
the first question is, it used to be two different things. The DSM-5 put autism all into one disorder now. I still think of them as two different things. So I think it's a useful distinction.
Okay.
But in Britain and other, I think Europe, use ICD instead of the DSM, and there is still Asperger's, I believe. I may be wrong on that. As far as a beta male, I don't think it has anything to do with Asperger's. You can be an
Yeah, there
aggressive,
are some
mean son of a bitch.
Asperger's. I confirm.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you can be highly like aggressive and assertive because you don't care about the effects as much, or you don't understand the effects of your actions. So you can be extremely aggressive and assertive.
Oh, very interesting. Hey, I was thinking, Jeff, if you were interested, maybe take a few calls for questions.
Sure, we can.
Yeah.
But I have to set it up. It will take 1 minute, so I'll
Uh,
go off and I'll be back.
Not a problem. Fucking yeah, this is like really interesting. And this debate or this argument about JF's past has been going on for so long and it's been debunked. There's evidence been shown. It just doesn't stop.
Well,
I
again, it doesn't matter. It is completely ideologically driven. Again, I don't agree with JF on a lot of things ideologically, but I'm more interested in the truth. And it's an easy tactic to say he dated someone with a disability, so there's something fucked up about him. So then his ideas must be fucked up too.
yeah. Here, I'm gonna throw in the link in the description bar for the Discord to call in. So if you want to check that out and want to call in, just hit refresh in about a second here, and then you can call in. I'm gonna warn you, Virgil. I don't know if you have you seen our call-in shows before.
Not really, but again, I would say I'm a half breed. I'm half normie, half internet autist, so I'm not really
So
too
you
afraid.
know it.
I'm not
Yeah,
too afraid.
yeah. We've gotten it's gotten a little bit intense sometimes. Let's
It's
just say that.
all good.
Uh, Ray Edwards said $5. I'm intelligent and diagnosed with autism from a young age. Is this wrong?
Um, I don't know. I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
It's. I guess what I would say is that it doesn't matter. If you have deficits in social areas, that's something that you should probably work on. If you don't, then maybe you don't have autism. But if you have problems with social and communication issues, it's something that maybe you could work on. Um, but if not, then this is my feeling with all disabilities. If it's not impacting your life in a negative way, then you don't really have a disability. You can
Mhm.
have certain characteristics that are just different or weird, which is fine. Who cares? We are a neurodiverse species. We all have brains are completely different. So if it doesn't bother you, who cares? Don't use the
Eh,
label if you don't want
yeah,
to.
that's like my stutter. Like I don't even really like badly stutter anymore. Thank God. It was horrific. It was terrible. But for like the first what 16, 17 years of my life before therapy, even like a few years after that, it was rough.
Oh, dude, I'm sure it just racks yourself. I could imagine being a 16-year-old or in high school trying to get some pussy and you're just stuttering like
Yeah. You know,
brutal.
I you know, fucking there was one guy who's my buddy, and like after we were friends for like what, like a year or two, he's like, Andy, no offense. When I met you, I thought you were fucking retarded. I was like, what for real? He's like, yeah, I thought you were just like special needs, no offense. I'm like, oh my God. So I would try to be funny, right? And since I couldn't talk, I remember like doing shit like in high school, like trying to make everyone laugh. You know, everyone's like smoking weed, and I would do snow angels, but in my boxers outside of school,
Hmm.
make everyone laugh and stuff. So I could see how a guy who's just stuttering uncontrollably, and then he takes off all his clothes and does snow
Yes.
angels. I could see why, like where he came from, like with that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to compensate. If you can't talk normally and you need to gain status or affection from others, you got to be
Yeah,
funny. You got to do something else.
yeah,
Use your strengths.
It
So
worked.
whoever that guy is, use your strengths. You're going to be good at something. You have a high IQ. Do what you enjoy. Work to your strengths.
I actually like also, I don't stutter too much anymore, and it's very short, like stutters, not like very long holding that. And even when I like see someone who's stuttering, I feel so bad. I'm just like, oh, dude, I was there.
Yeah.
Take therapy. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean
It
it's
worked.
and that's the thing. That's what I think with diagnosis. I mean, obviously a stutter is very different than a lot of mental diagnosis, but you get that diagnosis and someone can help you with some of these things.
Yeah, yeah. It was just brutal. Someone said this.
And
It's not
the
only about being funny. Holy crap, this advice is useless. It's not advice. I'm just telling you what I did. I'm not saying do snow angels if you stutter. I'm saying I that's the thing I did. It was a story.
But I mean, you may have to use humor as a way if you can't communicate well. Use your strengths.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
and
saying.
the on our call in line, we have someone who is named Ass Eater. From his nickname, I guess that he disagrees with my position on anal
Oh no,
sex.
we're gonna start some
Hello,
internet
Ass
blood sports.
Eater. How are you doing?
Hey, are you there?
Yep. Do
No.
you guys hear him well?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So,
So
Ass
do
Eater,
you
you
Oh
were
yeah,
telling me that you had a question about autism.
yeah. I was curious because I've known a few different autistic people. My brother's actually autistic, and I was curious if there's like different like kinds of it. I guess because like I have like one friend who's like mildly autistic, and he's like pretty normal, other than he doesn't ever talk to girls, and he's kind of a dick sometimes and doesn't realize it. And then my brother, who like literally has zero friends and does nothing but read My Little Pony fan fiction and stay at his house. So I'm wondering if there's like different kinds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say kind is like the right word. It's so you have different symptoms, and those symptoms can be all over the place. So, like I was saying before, some people can be sensory avoidance. So they hate sight, sounds, loud noises. They can't stand it. And some that they need that to function. Like they need to have what you have kids where you'll rub them with like wool brushes, and they need that to function in life. And so it can be completely different all over the place. And that's why autism is not a great diagnosis because it is so varied. I mean, it's every individual is completely different, and you have to understand that person as an individual to understand what they are struggling with under the category of autism. So it's definitely a broad, kind of shitty diagnosis, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Is because I feel like I've heard that there's a certain type of neural functioning they've associated with it, but it's confusing to me because you think that it would have like pretty similar characteristics for everyone. You know what I mean? Do they know anything about like why it affects different people differently and things like that?
So and again, so I'm more of a clinician. I am not a researcher, but I did some research before this. And this, so you can look at there are hormonal issues that are causing this. There are certain brain functioning areas that cause this. So it can be an endocrine system problem. It can be a part of your brain is not functioning correctly, and most likely it's probably a mix of several of these things that creates an individual that has the individual issues. Um, but to be honest with you, I don't know, and I don't think even the top researchers really know what is the cause of each one of these individual characteristics of the person.
Personally, the way I see it is people end up in the category autism because they display some symptoms. And the symptoms that psychiatrists detect are mostly related to social interaction and unique interests, like obsession with something. Now, the biological mechanism that could have caused this are multiple. And to me, it's not a natural category. So if you have someone who has these symptoms for reason X and someone else for reason Y, I would expect them to be affected differently. And on top of that, there's the personality variations that are present in everyone. They also affect autistic people. So that's why I think we see a great variability of behavior. And I think that ultimately, autism is not a natural category. It's just a set of symptoms that we say, okay, I see these symptoms, I'm going to call this autism. But the symptoms probably come from multiple sets of causes.
I think just one important point. I think that's all mental illnesses. I think that is
Yeah.
an accurate way to describe all mental illnesses. It is not a single cause. It's not like you broke your arm. Okay, we know your bone is broken. It's just it is a grouping of symptoms. That's all it is, and it's the best we got.
Ask a
Okay,
question.
I got one more question.
Go ahead,
go.
ask Eater, and then I want to ask you one after.
Okay, yeah. My last question was just, I kind of came in here late, so I don't know if you'd already touched on this, but is it true that people with autism lack empathy?
It's not necessarily empathy. They do have feelings. They lack. I mean,
I'm not saying they don't have feelings, but like the way I've heard it described is that like there's a certain like type of neuron in the brain. I think they call them mirror neurons, and it like simulates what you see in other people. Like if you see someone smile, your brain like responds to that. And I've heard that like autistic people don't have that, so like that's why they have trouble learning motor skills, is because they don't pick up on like visual cues from other people's motor functions and stuff like that.
So we did kind of talk about it earlier, and that's, I mean, from the clinical standpoint, they describe that as a theory of mind, essentially being able to take the ideas, thoughts, and belief of another person. The motor movements is interesting because the study, from what I understand, is that they actually can. So one of the studies was they take the researcher and sit them across from an autistic person, and then the researcher looks at an object in the room, and the autistic person can accurately identify what the person is looking at. So they have some ability to put themselves in the other person, but it lacks itself when you get more to the social realm of what people are thinking and believing in their heads.
No, I would say as a neuroscientist, the study that you bring, I do know about it. It's true that there are some brain areas they don't light up the same way in autism, and people have been saying, "Oh, those are the brain areas that contain the mirror neurons, so maybe it's the mirror neurons." It's a long shot right now, the mirror neuron theory of autism. It's a very long shot, and most neuroscientists thinks it's a little bit ridiculous. I think that there are reasons why the regions don't light up. That is not that the mirror neurons themselves are misfunctioning. I think they might be gated in different ways. They might prefer social stimuli differently. And it may not even be the root of autism. It may be the way autistic people develop. Maybe they have bad experiences with social stimuli. And as a result, their brain just cuts from certain sorts of social stimuli and interprets them less. But I think we're far from understanding why this brain area lights a little less.
Well, and even just talking about kind of that mirror neuron aspect of, they've done things where they'll spray oxytocin spray into your nose and it'll actually increase in someone with autism's facial recognition ability. And so it's described, I mean, it seems like it's hormonal, there's neurological issues. It's kind of all over the place, and we really have no idea what the hell is going on for the most part, but I think is the honest assessment.
Yeah. So I want to ask my question to ask Eater here.
Go ahead.
Is that your name? Sorry, damn. On his Discord.
Oh yeah, I have to tell you one more information. His name is AssEater69. So we may be talking about bilateral ass eating here.
That's how old are you?
I'm 24.
You're 24. Okay. Is your like email something like that too? Or is it a more serious email?
No, I don't. I have multiple emails. I use them for different things.
Okay.
I'm not going to go around telling people what my emails are.
No, that's fine.
Your email specifically for ass eating. Do you have a specific address for that?
No, I don't have an ass eater email. This was just I got on Discord because my friends were like playing a game or something, and I was like, I can't think of a name, so I'm gonna pick the most retarded shit that I can think of, the most immature and just juvenile shit that I can think of, basically.
Like, do you giggle when you're like, ass eater 69? The 69 makes it, dude.
I actually, there's a school Discord for some of my classes. And I actually made like a different account with my like school email, and then I accidentally like logged on my phone and like didn't realize that it wasn't connected to my school email. So I like popped in on like the school Discord, like Ass Eater 69. And I was like, okay, fuck this shit. And I couldn't figure out how to get off of it, and I was freaking out for a minute.
Well, at least he was freaking out, Andy, so he doesn't have autism, or not at a high level.
And I have like a We Was Kings like picture on it too, so I was like, oh god, this isn't good.
Oh no. They know it was
It's
you for a
like a
sec.
black Pepe with like floating pyramids in the background.
God.
Did they know it
I was
was
like,
you?
I don't want my school to see this shit.
Jesus Christ. Any more autism questions?
No, that was actually pretty informative, though. I didn't know that the mirror neurons was not well received. I think we watched a video in like some psychology class I was in, like in high school or something, and they made it sound like it was like, we think this is what it is right now. So it's interesting to hear that that's maybe not the case. And also, I'll say what JF said about it possibly being like the way they develop differently from bad experiences. I think that may be part of it, because my brother's autism isn't incredibly severe, but he had really bad anxiety problems when he was younger, and I think that's maybe like more of part of why he like never really gets out of the house and doesn't like have any friends or anything.
Play Sonic.
Masonic?
No,
because
play
we were
Sonic.
talking earlier that autistic people like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love Sonic the Hedgehog too. It's a great game.
No, it's a great game, but autistic people have an affinity for
Oh, I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he reads like he. I think he's actually written some like My Little Pony fan fiction and shit.
Oh, really?
Weird for me to find out, but I don't ask him about it.
All right, Asiter, it was
I
great
guess
talking
he
to
is.
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep eating ass, bud.
Guest on the show. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, eat that ass.
All right, thanks.
Peace,
And
dude.
we have someone who has gotten accused of being autistic, and he wants to know. Hello, Scrub.
Hello.
So,
Scrub.
Scrub, there were people calling you autistic, and you came to know if we agreed with them. I have to say before we do any of this that this is not a professional psychology couch, and that we are on Warski Live, and this is all for entertainment purpose, and the medical opinions that we give have no medical value at all. Are you doing
Yeah,
today, Scrub?
that's smart to say before we started that. Good job.
Thanks.
And
With
these
all our
things, the
advice.
lawsuits fall down. This host is a genius.
We might fuck this whole thing up. So, all right, just so you all know, what's your thing? Like ass eater, like what?
No,
I'm
this
just-
is Scrub.
I was hoping it was another ass eater. Go ahead.
All right. So first off, my 2D 4D ratio says I'm quite autistic, but I don't know if that's real.
So 2D is a
Anyways.
test you did on the internet. Is that it?
No, it is the length of your fingers, and it actually, what I understand, is pretty high correlation with autism.
Wait, what?
That's real?
Okay, what do you mean?
You can't do it by the sight. It has to be measured. I believe it's the two, and so the pointer and the ring finger. And I remember when I was doing a little bit of research, there is something to that. If you YouTube Simon Baron Cohen, it was one of his videos that I was watching that he was talking about this, and there is, I believe, an asymmetry, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong, but there is something to that asymmetry in those two fingers at a very, very, very small level that correlates with autism.
Never heard about this.
What?
Yeah,
Damn. All right.
crazy.
All right,
Now,
Scrub.
we're not
We're-
going to determine if you're autistic with your fingers.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah,
man? What have you been doing
well-
today?
Today I've been sitting in front of the computer and Discord chatting with people.
So you
For how
like
long?
chatting with people?
Yeah,
Well,
I was probably doing it for quite a few hours.
on the internet or in real life.
Well, in the JF Discord, so
Well, do you ever speak to people in real life, though, is the question.
today no, I didn't. But I normally talk to one or two people.
Okay.
I had
Like-
this week, so I got this girl's number. This is what really happened.
Oh, you got a girl.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah, I got a girl. It was pretty impressive.
Nice, nice.
I-
You gonna eat that ass or?
No, I don't believe in premarital sex.
No, that's not sex. It's just eating ass. It's different. It doesn't count.
What?
You're still a virgin. Go ahead.
All right. So, Scrub, do
So,
you have collector behavior? Do you have interest in a particular thing in your life?
what do you mean?
Well, do you like collecting hockey card? Do you like looking at
I play
statistics of
RuneScape.
you play RuneScape? Do you play RuneScape at a very heavy, like how many hours per day?
Well, I don't play it much anymore, but I have like 300 days logged in.
That's okay. You're less of a gamer than me.
Wait, what do you play,
Ah,
JF?
okay.
I play Don't Starve Together.
Really? You play that game? That
Yeah,
doesn't seem like a JF game. All right, cool.
yeah, it is not. That's true. But I'm all about survival and seeing the weakest die.
Okay, fair enough.
So I mean,
Alright.
if this guy really wants to actually know, I have the DSM in front of me. We could actually just go through the diagnostic criteria.
Let's do it.
Let's do it
All right,
for
let's
fun.
go.
Okay. So the first is you have persistent deficits in social communication. So I'm gonna name 3 different things, and again, this is not how diagnosis is done. The clinician would talk to you, and then he would make these determinations. If you have this, you don't usually ask the person if they have these problems, but we'll do it for fun. So, do you have deficits in social emotional reciprocity, for example, abnormal social approach and failure of normal back and forth conversation?
Yeah, I don't really like talking to people.
Okay. Reduced sharing of interest, emotions, or affect.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one. All right, the next one. I'm just kind of going over these quickly. Deficits in nonverbal communicative behaviors used for social interaction, ranging, for example, from poorly integrated verbal and nonverbal communication to abnormalities in eye contact and body language. So, did anyone ever tell you like
I
you
can't
look?
make eye contact.
Okay, there we go. All right, number 3, deficits in maintaining and understanding relationships, such as difficulties in adjusting behavior to suit various social contexts. Like, can you
Wait.
not be yourself? Like the who you are in JF's chat, can you not be that person in real life and be a different
Oh,
person?
no, not at all. Unless I'm really, really close to the person or like extremely tired.
So you can be like I always call it like the mask on if you need to.
No, I can't.
Okay.
It's like on the internet, it's really easy, but in real life, it's just impossible.
All
Is it
right.
like
So
awkward? Is it uncomfortable? You just don't like it?
Uh, I don't know. I just like like it doesn't happen. I'm just quiet and I just kind of stay on my own. Don't talk to anyone.
okay. All right. So that was part A, and so again, this is by no means telling you have autism, but you definitely have signs that that is an issue. Then, so the next part of this is restricted or repetitive patterns of behavior and interest or activities, kind of what JF was talking about. So, do you have any kind of stereotype repetitive motor movements? Um, so, like using of objects, lining up toys, echolalia, which is like repeating the last word or phrase of what someone has said, or say weird things, like have weird phrases that you say all the time.
Um, Not exactly. Like I have throughout time, and people have like commented on it, but I don't really notice them.
What was
So,
an example of that?
Like when I was younger, I used to make this weird noise when I was playing soccer. I would just like make noises on the field, and people were like, "What the fuck's this kid doing?"
Like Ric
It was
Flair?
like a clicking
Like,
or something.
whoa!
So you like
Uh,
click?
Not like a woo, but I'd like click or something with my tongue.
You Ugandan knuckles. To
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
All right, so I will say maybe over there. All right, the next one would be insistence on sameness and inflexibility to routines. So, are you a very routinized person?
Yeah, I don't really change my routine. I've been trying to lately, but it's a little hard.
And so if your routine gets fucked up, does it cause you like emotional distress?
Oh yeah, it ruins my whole day.
Okay. All right. So the next is highly restricted or fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus.
Can you say that again?
Yep. Highly restricted or fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus.
Like kind of like having ADD or something.
No, so it would be like kind of just if you're hyper focused on one thing and that's all your attention goes to one thing. So It could be like if it is the political environment on YouTube, if you're saying you're on JS chat all day, if this is like the main focus of your life.
Yeah, I generally just focus on one thing at a time. It's really hard for me to do more than one.
Okay. And then lastly is hyper or hypo reactivity to sensory input. So are you someone that either loves sensory input, needs to touch things, lights all the time, or do you hate lights and people, loud noises, those type of things?
Did you say touch too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like getting touched at all. Like if someone pokes me in the side, I freak out. I can't be touched.
Okay. I mean, so according to you in your self-report, I mean, you certainly meet the criteria for autism spectrum disorder. And just hearing the way you talk, I wouldn't be surprised by this either. Again, as I always feel it, my always question is, do you feel like this stuff impacts your life in a way that you dislike?
Yeah, I've been trying to overcome it and talk to these Asian cuties, but it's impossible. It's quite a struggle.
Well, my advice is to
This
keep
guy
doing
is
it.
not autistic. He's just a Chad in a world of betas. That's why he doesn't want to be touched. He doesn't want to become like the other betas.
People,
Yeah, pretty much.
people are claim. A few people in the chat are saying you may be trolling / lying.
No,
I wish.
no,
I
think
mean,
you're much easier.
this is no based on anything, but I talked to a lot of autistic people, and just kind of the voice pattern, even before even telling me things, I again wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. I've spoken to autistic people, and they have that voice pattern. Not trying to be
No,
I
I know.
stutter and I
Wait, what do
slur
you
my
mean?
words. I'm not saying I'm any better, but you know what I mean.
To be honest, I don't even know what I mean. I've talked to so many people. It's just something in the way that your speech pattern just clicks with me that is a bit, I don't know, just off.
It's like how certain gay people, you could tell that they're gay immediately.
Oh, God.
Like, hey, how you doing? You're like, and they're like, and then a few sentences later, they're like, I'm gay, and I'm like, yeah, I heard hello, and I was hello, yeah, I know. Is that bad to say? Am I a piece of shit? Am I a piece of shit?
No, Andy, you're not good at the work of psychology. I would recommend that you do something else.
I'm not bad.
No, but I will say to Scrub that as Virgil was reading these criteria, first, I would have answered yes to all these questions. And I've never sought the diagnosis of autism, and I would never. Also, I saw like 50 people in the Warski ghetto saying, oh, God, that's me. So this is clearly not it's not something that you should worry about if you don't want it to change. And if you want it to change, even then you could see it as personality traits that you want to work on. And there are various ways to work on personality traits. Going to a psychiatrist and getting a autism diagnosis is only one of them.
Yeah, and just to second that, again, like I said before I did that, this is for fun. If you read the DSM, you will come away with 20 diagnoses that you think that you have. Self-reporting is bad. Fuck Tumblr, fuck all this self-diagnosis stuff. It's not how you do this. So what we just did, again, was for fun. That is not how you would give someone a diagnosis. People think there's a lot wrong with them. Those are pretty broad categories, and you need someone to observe you and understand you as a person to be able to say this definitively. But as FJS said, if you can work on certain aspects, if you feel like you want to talk to more people, go out and talk to more people. Your anxiety will reduce over time, and you will get better at it, just like any other skill in life.
All right, do me next. Everyone hit like, by the way, if you're enjoying. Hit like.
Scrub, what are your impressions after this discussion? What do you retain?
That I'm autistic.
I wouldn't retain that. Because
but that
I
can
would have
work on.
hated that people would have categorized my personality trait in a box. We're all complex beings, and you can do that. But I will tell you in advance, there's no pill for autism. So think twice before you diagnose yourself with autism.
All right. But
Do you play Sonic?
no, I don't play Sonic.
No. Do you
play
see
Pokemon.
why people love it? Okay, Pokemon. Same thing.
Pokemon is a tot.
I'm just kidding. I used to play Pokemon back in the day. Yeah, but
All right, but there's this story that everyone wants me to tell, and I need some help on how I should deal with it
Okay.
from the autism
All right.
experts.
okay.
All right. So Monday, there's this girl in my economics class, and she was talking to me. Or I managed to talk to her Monday, and that was like the first time I've talked to a girl in quite some time. And then Wednesday, I managed to get her number, and then she sent me like a little tilde thing, like the squiggle. So I knew she was interested,
Oh
Ah,
God, that is good.
but I didn't say anything until the next day because I was autistic. And then I said, "Hey, do you want to go get coffee with me sometime?" With the
Perfect.
sunglasses emoji.
Oh my God.
oh, not the sunglasses emoji. Oh,
Pull the sunglasses emoji.
we have to
I've
do
not
the
pulled that in 3 years, Andy.
Yeah, I'll do that to like a buddy of mine when it's something stupid, but never a chick. We'll have to do a training how to text women.
Yeah,
episode.
Let me tell you,
That's
Andy
bad.
has fucked much less women than me, Scrub, and I say good move.
All right. So the sunglasses was good.
Wait,
It
what?
was good one time. Don't like
don't do-
abuse it, but it was good because
No,
women
man.
like the sun. Women like the idea of gallery posing a little bit, going to take a coffee and being seen downtown, showing boobs a little bit.
But
This is perfect.
You have to act
You
chill.
brought her in Florida in her mind.
Okay,
and
what
that
was
a
the
good
response?
move.
What was the response?
All right. So she didn't respond, and I was triggered. But then the
How
next
long?
day, she sent me another text and said, "Oh, I didn't realize it didn't send," and sent me proof that it didn't send. And then I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, haha, you're just ignoring me." Played it off. And then she kept doing
call it.
squiggles for a little while.
Yeah,
But then
squiggles.
she
What are we
told me
talking
she
about
had a
squiggles?
Yeah,
boyfriend.
hold up. What the fuck is
Wait,
squiggles mean?
wait, yeah, squiggles, and then she had a
Squiggles.
It's like the
boyfriend.
tilde.
What does the tilde key mean though?
It's- Wait,
I
hang
don't
on.
fucking know. That's
Here,
why I'm asking you.
wait, the squiggles. What does that like? Like
Yeah,
what?
I don't know a meaning for the tilde key.
Squiggle means I'm excited and I want sex. No.
That's what I thought.
Oh, I thought we were talking about
I
like
don't
an
know.
emoticon.
It was
it's
like the
squirm.
end of every text.
It's
At the
a
end of
synonym
every-
of squirming.
What? I've never seen this
I've
before.
never heard of this.
Okay, everyone's putting in the chat now. So you put that at the end of your text, and it means you're squirming.
That's what
Yeah,
she sent to me.
No,
Did she send you any text before that, and then like that? She's like, hey, I'm just blah blah. I'm watching some Netflix. Squiggle.
Okay, let me put an end to this
No.
part of the
Do it.
discussion, guys, because you guys are all acting like beta cucks. Scrub, whatever she meant by this smiley, the fact that she's saying I to you means
Yeah.
she's interested, all right?
Wait,
So you
but
have
wait,
to
she has a
take
boyfriend.
action.
Stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Go for it. And if you fuck up, who cares? You're right back by yourself in the bedroom where you are right now. Go for it. Take action. If you don't take action, you will not ever do anything.
Mhm. Always wait for a response before you text back.
Yes.
Nothing worse than you aren't texted back in like an hour or two, and then you keep adding to your text, and then there's like 5 blue bubbles before the gray, you know?
Don't over display, in other words. And I know that it's emotionally triggering if you don't get an answer for 24 hours, 48 hours, but just see it as a test of your masculinity. You send a hi, you won't send a second one until she responds.
Yeah.
You should-
Always make it seem like you have 4 other hoes on speed dial. Right.
And you should nowadays. Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Tinder
Yeah.
just as
Oh, you have
practice.
to.
So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think this thing, especially with people that are like socially awkward for whatever reason, not even autism. When you finally get a girl to show you any type of interest, you idealize this person. Don't. It's just
Don't
a
ever
person.
do that.
Don't ever do that.
The moment you do, then you put too much
Well, you become a
energy in
beta
that
cuck.
one person, then you annoy them, and then they're disinterested. Always make it seem like there's a hole around the corner.
How do you practice making eye contact with people?
I've always heard a 3-second rule. Don't look for more than 3 seconds. And you just have to practice looking at people and getting comfortable. And if you have to count it off in your head, look 1, 2, look away, 1, 2, it may be what you have to do. But I mean, I'm eye contact avoidant person in general. Some people won't even notice if you at least you give some eye contact, and so you have to be aware of it.
I used to be really
Personally, I
socially
almost
awkward.
never give eye contact. But if you want to practice, if you think that will improve, you can use a picture on your computer and you practice. Look at her, look away. Look at her, look away.
He's
But
right.
personally, I never gave a fuck, and I think I've never watched a woman in the eye.
Yeah,
When I met JF, like, yeah, you were very like always looking away and nodding when I was talking and stuff. And like for me, I used to be very, very socially awkward. I'm now the opposite. I eye contact, and then I know when to break and look away. Because you know how when you stare at someone's eyes for too long, it like sucks your soul out for a second.
3
Yeah.
seconds.
You feel dizzy.
It's like when I came to Ontario and he saw me and I was like, hi. And I was looking on the ground and he was like, hug, JF.
Yeah,
And he
then I
came to
hugged
me like
you,
you're
yeah.
here. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna hug me.
I'm really talkative too. When I saw Brittany Pettibone's first time I met her, I'm like, what's going on? Like, I'm just so talkative. I just don't shut the fuck up. I don't know. I'm a very social person. Very what's the like I like being alone and doing like playing video games and all that stuff. But then when I'm social, like I switch it. But I like being alone as well. All right. Scrub,
Hey.
are we helping you out at all, or is this too much info?
No. This is great help, and I can like watch it back again. So
As
Yeah.
far as women goes, also,
Is she hot?
they said you should always have O's on the side, and you should see every woman that is a potential failure is a learning experience, and build a machine of repetition.
Yep.
Of okay, I'm gonna try this, doesn't work. All right, I'm gonna try this next time, doesn't work. All right, I'm gonna try this,
Yep.
and
Use your
the
autism superpowers and pattern recognition and realize where you fucked up and try not to do it again.
Yeah. Well, and also don't this is a thing I used to fall into all the time. I would have the gut feeling and I could tell that the girl wasn't interested anymore. But like you lie to yourself, like you mask it in your brain and you go, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Go with your gut as well. Like if you feel the disinterest, you feel she's distancing herself or pulling away or being uncomfortable, be very aware of that because a lot of dudes get enamored with one girl. And this is the problem. You put all your eggs in one basket and then you're fucking devastated. All right. So like you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, man.
all right, well, she's not that hot, but there's this other hot girl in my class that I've been trying to work up to talk to.
There we are. There we go. Your test.
It's quite this. It's been a semester and like a month, and I've never made eye contact with her except like once, and it's hard.
Yeah. Have you ever tried nagging a woman?
What's negging a woman?
So
no, those are high level tactics, and the scrub is.
I'm a teach scrub and I'm a teach scrub and nagging. All right. Here it is. Okay. A lot of guys do like the overly nice guy routine. Like you're always like, hey, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah. And you're always, yes. You have to not be a dick, but be comfortable with saying, like, being able to make like a joke or just not being always agreeable. And they go, oh,
I'm a highly disagreeable person. Don't worry about that.
You're giving the wrong tips to the wrong person.
No,
I understand
man, this is how I roll.
If you're Rouge V, if you're JF, all right, be the asshole and play that game. But you're also gonna attract very weird women, Andy.
No, but I mean, be playful about it. Don't be like, hey, fuck, like you know how like negging in the pickup artist community, they're always just like dicks about it. No, you have to be able to be sarcastic and be able to be open with your humor and be playful. Don't be a dick, but don't be a yes man. Women hate that shit.
Well, I think it's just being confident in who you are, and this is the reality of your situation, man. I'm assuming you're talking about school, so you're young.
Yeah, I'm 20.
So if you're actually gonna end up with this person, you need to be yourself from the beginning, because you're gonna end up with someone who, even if she's super fucking hot, in a year you're gonna fucking hate her if you are not who you are around her. it happened. I mean, it's happened to me, and you fucking hate yourself for it. So just be yourself. If they don't like you, this was not the person for you. You can have some fun, whatever. But again, don't idealize. Don't
Smash it
idealize
and
this person.
pass. Right, JF?
Yes. All right,
Smash it
Scrub. Did you
pass.
have any concluding comments or questions?
Oh no, I don't. Thanks for letting me in.
It was great talking to you, and we'd like to hear
Hang on,
about the
hang on.
results.
Hang on. New fucking super chat. Abaya $000 $10. Don't tell the autistic kid to nag. You're going to see him in the news for pimp slapping in a month.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, you're giving some like really nuanced social advice to the autism. Dangerous shit right there.
Okay, don't
All
nag.
right.
Be a nice guy. I'm sorry. I take it all
Scrub,
back.
thank you so much for coming. It was great, and we'd like to hear the results.
All right, thanks.
Bye bye.
Good luck, man.
Andy,
Love these phone calls.
Andy,
Huh?
my dear Andy, I will now
Well,
coach you.
No,
When
bro.
someone is diagnosed with autism, you don't play third level cognitive games
You
with
said,
them.
well, you know, but
You just
Jeff,
flew this guy with social stimuli.
Jeff, you
What
just
the
said
fuck are you
that
doing, Andy?
our show isn't a qualify for diagnoses, so he might
Yeah.
not be autistic.
But you can be understanding that, okay, if I flew this guy with third level cognitive tactics against theory of mind woman who somehow like nagging a little bit, and this guy just admitted that he didn't have much social skills, you may be overpowering it. It's like
Yeah.
explaining nuclear physics to a elementary school student.
Oh, so you're saying like he's gonna walk into school, walk up to that hot chick and be like, "Hey, you cunt."
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I'm not even laughing about Scrub. I have the same personality as this guy. Don't tell me to nag a woman because I'm going to overdo it.
No, when you were telling him this, I'm like, God, he's just gonna go in there and just call her a bitch and just stand there smiling like it's gonna work.
The super chat was real. This is what's going to happen, Andy. All right. Now we have
Funny.
Katie. Katie, how are you doing, Katie?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cool, how are we
you
doing?
were telling us
Good.
that you are a Brit fag.
I am indeed a Brit fag, yeah. I got work in like 4 hours. I finished work like 2 hours ago.
Work, do you mean prostitution?
I mean, I might try that eventually if shit gets bad. I'll
Wait,
probably
so
make more than I am now.
What do you do then? You just jerk off on camera?
I just recently got a new job, like managerial, like salary. It's pretty boring, but it's alright.
All right. And
Oh, I
how
thought,
old are
like-
you?
Yes, okay, good.
Sorry? How old am I?
How old are you? Yeah.
24.
All right.
And
What-
I'm not autistic because my parents aren't cousins.
Well, that doesn't really have anything to do with it, but
Yeah.
that's good.
I don't know. It's got a big correlation there somewhere.
What's a
I am
Brit
gonna
fag?
keep this kind of short and sweet though.
Like, what do you mean by that?
By what?
A
I think
Brit
he's trying to
fag.
be funny and coming off really autistic.
Fuck yeah!
I'm just
Fucking
British.
hilarious. So
Just
just.
British.
I love the fucking
Yeah.
comedy here. So good. Go ahead. Make us laugh.
Okay. I do want to keep this short and sweet because I need to go to bed. It's basically my only encounter with an autist ever. I was in the supermarket shopping with my mother and my mother's friend, and my mum's friend has an autistic son. And at the time I was like 19 and he was like 17, 16 or something, quite a big guy. And we were shopping, standard, and out of nowhere, he just absolutely loses his shit and just starts throwing bottles, smashing shit up, throwing things at people, just flapping around, going absolute ape shit. And I mean, pretty hectic, pretty mental. And people started trying to restrain him one by one, just getting absolutely flung like feet, just sliding on their asses like he was the fucking Hulk or something, just throwing people around like. And it eventually took about 5 people to restrain him, including myself. And I remember clear as day, vividly, that he had a fucking raging hard on when we were holding him down. He was just there pitching a tent with 5 people sat on top of him.
He was
And,
negging. That's what he was doing. He was negging, and then everyone went on and was like, "This was the whole plan all along." Isn't that right, JF?
He was loving it. He was fucking loving it.
Andy, I think you come out as the most autistic tonight. You don't understand what's happening around you, Andy.
I'm just fucking with this guy.
So let me understand what is the story that just was told there. There was a
Okay.
autistic guy. He
Yes.
became violent, and his
Yeah.
penis was hard.
Yeah, but he just developed like super strength. That's what my question was. Like,
Okay,
how
no,
did this
because
guy just become?
When you say hard on, does that mean that he had an erection in his sexual organ?
Yeah, the blood flow was there. He was pitching a tent.
And his muscles.
Virgil, can you help me? I think it's English or it's the British
No,
English that I
no,
don't.
no. Hang on,
What's
Jeff.
happening here?
What he's saying is, not only did he have a hard on,
Okay.
but he turned into like the Hulk. Like his adrenaline
Yeah.
out of
I think
control.
that
and
what you're
strong.
looking for is retard strength.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was trying my best to
after
avoid
that
that.
day- After that day, I called that Mong strength. So my question essentially was, can you explain Mong strength to me?
No, I can't explain it, but I was saying earlier in the show, I have engaged in many restraints with students, and there are some students that are small and just surprisingly strong.
I can explain it.
Yeah, like
Go ahead.
they
go
put
ahead,
every
Andy.
ounce of
Actually,
weight behind.
I gotta
them.
go. AFK, just 2 minutes, guys. Be right back.
Yeah, no worries. I have a theory.
All right. You have
Okay.
a theory for retard strength?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay,
Wow.
so if you're horsing around with a buddy, right, and you're fucking like like fighting, but you're not in the fight mode. You're just like in the like fucking around, maybe punch your buddy, whatever, right? But when you're in an actual fight mode, you become crazy a little bit, right? You're focused. You're just like like you're not like when you're in attack mode and not defensive mode, you're stronger because you're in the attack mode. I feel like they don't have like when they flip to that mode, they don't have the filter that we have of defensiveness. So they just go all in. No? Maybe?
He was definitely fucking all in. Trust
That's
me,
what I'm saying.
he was
That's what I'm
definitely all in.
But when you're in a fight, you're sort of like, do I defend? I don't want a bruise on my face, or I don't want to fight right now. I'm gonna try and talk this guy down, right? But then when you're in like someone attacking a family member, you're like, I am going to kill this person, and you flip to that level of like, I'm not gonna like if you knock someone out who you're like sort of just pissed off at, he falls on the floor and you leave him. If this person attacked a family member, you'd be on him continuously punching his face until it's fucking done. So maybe they sort of don't have that consciousness to be like, all right, you've done enough. I don't know. Everyone's saying,
Yeah,
I'm
but how
right.
can you go
Done.
0 to 100
Huh?
from nowhere? Just in a shop. He went from fucking 0 to 100 out of nowhere in a
autistic
shop
people-
for no reason.
I know with autism, from what I know of it, there's a lot of triggers for autistic people. For example, some of them might like just fall on the floor and just start screaming, like everything just gets really loud, and they have what they call episodes, right?
I think I got that recently, Andy. I was triggered by "Hi, I think I'm Real's hairs." The minute I started his video, his hair just triggered me into a rage. I could not control it.
Did you enjoy that video?
I've actually commented it on my live stream.
I have to watch it. Which one? On your last one yesterday?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was not a super good critique. He was calling us sweet pie and darling and sweetheart, but in a rough way. Like, you don't think you're gonna violate my rights, Andy, sweetheart?
It's good. Okay, fine. You're right. He criticized me.
Yeah.
All right. Apparently, Quartering's making a new video.
Okay. Well, at this point, I've said it on my Twitter today. There's too much critique of my life on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm not even able to follow it. So you autists have fun digging my life. You guys know nothing, and I will not respond unless someone comes here and says, "Jeff, here's what I know about you."
So Andy, can I actually give you a piece of advice about all the criticism?
Yeah.
Stop fucking responding to it. Do what JF just said. You come off very emotional. Who fucking
I
cares?
am an emotional.
But
I'm a
it-
fucking.
it's a
I
bad
like
look.
that. And also I like releasing rage. So it's sort of like, like, yeah. Oh, he criticized me. Time to fucking shit on him.
So I'll tell
I'm
you
like,
from my
give me a
perspective.
reason. Andy, I
I'll,
don't like your show. Beautiful. Let's start analyzing this person's life and ruin him from the inside out.
So the reason I'm saying this is I don't really fucking care what you do. I don't think it's a good long-term strategy just for the
Fair enough.
pushing people away aspect of it.
Fair enough.
But-
yeah, I'm done.
Because the criticism's always gonna fucking happen no matter what. Again, you have people on here that people ideologically don't like, so they're going to attack. Period. Always.
Beautiful.
All the time. Sucks
Beautiful.
for you though. I feel you.
I don't care. I haven't told Quartering. He's like, I'm gonna make another video about you. I'm just letting you know before I release it. And I just told him because even with hi, I think I'm real. I didn't respond to that. I just went, all right. He criticized me. Next, anyway, I was on Kumite and I was just bored. I'm just bored of that subject of responding.
Mhm.
So just moved on to the next thing, right?
So-
And yeah, so I told Quartering, I'm like, he's like, do you have anything to say before I make my video? And I'm like, is anything I say gonna fucking change what you're gonna do?
Oh,
No,
not at all.
then just do it. I
So-
don't care.
Can I ask you? I have a genuine question because I always hear people, the YouTubers that are quote unquote internet famous, they say they don't care about the comments. I just don't believe that's possible.
That is bullshit.
I would imagine it would be terrible to hear just constantly how shit you are all day.
Yeah,
It has to.
and it's not even like there's like ones that are like Andy sucks so I fucking hate him. He's a retard. He's fucking low. There's always those ones, and those ones don't affect me as much as ones that like slip into reality.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's the truth
Like
that always
a
hurts.
less harsh one is more like, oh man, that was pretty.
Well, and I think honestly it's because there's probably some truth in it, and you're just like, fuck, dude, they're kind of right. And that
Like Andy, you're being an emotional bitch right now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
God damn, he's fucking right. Like
Yeah.
when JF fucking pulled the Judas on me and had to scream and bashed me for half an hour. Andy,
You need to watch that.
you are too emotional. You are fucking up, Andy. You are fucking up. I'm watching this like on my phone, like, and then I came on to Discord. I'm like, let me on your show right now, or I'll fucking. I will shit on you. Everyone's fucking DMing me, yo, fucking JF shitting on you right now. I'm like, what? I'm like, fucking.
There's a whole emotional thing to do with the comment because I want the good comments and I want the constructive comments. But if you open yourself emotionally to these comments, then there's an asshole wanting to hurt you personally, and then he pulls something either from your personal life or he attacks you in some vicious way. And so my trick for the last month is I find if someone crosses a line, I say, okay, anything that comes out of this brain for the rest of time, I'm not interested. This guy is clearly not intelligent enough to generate a constructive critique, and you're blocked. That's what I do. So I'm pretty happy with the current level of comments on my videos. They are very intellectual. I've cultivated this by rewarding, by saying, I love you guys' comments. I love it when you go deep in your comment and you explain exactly where you find the point for critique. And the other ones that are unsolvable, I just block them.
Also, I think the guy that you have on Discord, I hear the Discord messages going dunk, dunk, dunk.
Yeah, I think you're gonna hear the Discords no matter what because I'm plugged on it. Skaty, you're still there?
Yeah. I mean, I am going to go now because I'm fucking knackered.
All right,
But,
thanks
yeah.
for coming on. As far
My
as the
pleasure.
retard string theory of Fendi, I don't buy it. Retard string in general, I think it's just that there are states of the brain that are reached by people, particularly people who have mental disorders, that we could probably develop ourselves, but it's just that we are more contained in more situations, and you'll never see that kind of state from a normal person, if you will. But to me, it's not. There's nothing magical in there, and it's just that this is what the human body is capable. In cases of mental disorder, it just shows up.
I would imagine it's just a human response to extreme stress. Like you just don't understand. Like if this person, I only heard part of the story, but like if he seemingly just freaked out, you don't know what if he's seemingly. His perception is completely different from yours. His world he experiences is not your world, and so a flashing light above him fluorescently, you don't even notice it. It fucking drives him insane, and he flips out, and it just you can't understand that unless you're him.
Jesus. Guys,
All
we
right,
have
bye bye, Skitty. Thanks for
peace
being
out.
on.
Yeah.
Have a nice sleep. Moonraker, $10. This is all right. You ready for some love advice, people? Was text so $10. Thank you very much for that. By the way, was texting every day with a level 10 hot girl. Recently, she said she wanted to slow things down and hasn't been texting much, but said she still really liked me. Thoughts?
Oh no, no, no.
It's done.
Rub this. The only solution to this is if you have some hope, you can let the hope exist in your heart, but don't communicate with this girl. If she has to slow down, that's her way of saying, I don't want to be with you, but I don't want to tell you that I don't want to be with you. She's currently friend zoning you.
Yep.
Just don't talk to this woman ever until she initiates contact.
Yeah,
Find
you're
other
fucked.
women to make her jealous.
Virgil?
Yeah, no, you're fucked. Either you leave or you try to leave, and then maybe that gets her back. But either way, you'd go look elsewhere.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah. Her next sentence to you after saying she really likes you is like, "You're like a brother to me." You ever have that? I had that in college once. I was like, "Oh, I'm like a brother." Yeah. And also, don't be one of those guys. Don't be what Patrice O'Neill used to say. You see, women, they can be hoes, right? Bang around. They can bang. They can walk into a bar and just put their hand up and they're getting laid, right? But what men are, while sure you could be a man hoe, but you have to have a lot of skill for that. You have to be able to have a game and all that stuff, right? However, you could be a time hoe. And what a time hoe is a woman who uses you like a boyfriend, right? So you watch movies, we're gonna head for a picnic, but there's no, and then and they talk to you on the phone about all their problems with all other friends, but then they're fucking someone else. Don't be a time hoe. Because if you give them all your time and they friend zone you and you focus that time, you are wasting time on a girl that you could actually be connecting with. Don't be a time hoe.
I like that concept. I
I
agree.
agree.
Oh, Patrice O'Neill. Patrice O'Neill fucking king.
I mean, I was that person for a large part of my life.
Time hoe, yeah.
Yeah.
You're friend zoned.
To be honest.
And then you always think in your head, there's like, I feel like there's some chance she'll change her mind. Maybe if I do this, this is what you have to do. When for that guy who put the super chat, for example, if you say she's in your school, ignore her, right? And always wear your "I'm looking for pussy today" shirt. Like I'm looking like a nice. Don't go and don't be dressed like the way I am right now. Like fucking no, go in with a button up, fucking whatever. And then when you see her, hey, so what are you gonna be doing? Do you want to talk? Sorry, I'm busy right now. Walk away. It will make her vagina wet.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. So either way, you leave.
We're fucking pros at this. Go ahead, next call.
You should always see the girl once. Respect that there are some girls who don't want to get fucked on the first night. All right. Kiss on the second night. Sex on the third night. If you are late of more than 3 days on your timetable, it's time to move.
Yeah. So Jeff, if you go to coffee with a chick, let's say 3 times, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Dead.
I never got to 2 times coffee without sex.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a specific subpopulation of humans that we call trad tots, then they could be like Britney Spears staying virgin until they are married. You can make exceptions, but I mean, if there's not something close to sex or the equivalent of sex for a trad tot, I would say 2 or 3 days of investment is enough.
Beauty.
All right, we have Ray Edwards with us.
Oh, Ray,
Edwards
what's up, Ray?
had been super chatting us earlier.
I know
Ray,
Ray.
do you hear me?
She beat no bullshit on Kumite the other day. Ray,
Oh yeah.
you know what she did
Ray is
once?
muted. I think she might have left for a while. Oh, she disappeared. We have
Ray,
someone called Monica the anti-bully. Hello,
yeah,
Monica.
real fast. You know that Ray girl?
Yeah.
She once commented to me, "If you notice me, I will smash an egg on my head." So I replied with "noticed," and then she sent me a video of her taking an egg and smashing it into her head.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, she wants that D. Anyway, go ahead. Who's the next caller?
Well, Monica anti-bully seems muted. There's lots of people on my waiting room who are
Hello.
there, but hello.
Hello. Hi.
Monica?
Yes.
Are we right about all that chick stuff we were talking about?
I wouldn't know. I'm one of those virgin married kind of types.
Were you a virgin?
Yeah.
How old are you?
26.
Jesus. 26?
What's a
Yeah.
female? What's a 26 female doing on the internet?
I was trying to
This
find.
time
Oh
of
my
the day.
goodness. Being autistic, apparently.
And do you not want to fuck? Are you like, waiting for marriage and shit?
Yeah, well, I was really Christian for a long time, and then I was like waiting till marriage, and then like I didn't believe in that kind of stuff, and then I was like, fuck it, I went this far.
You're gonna wait? I would
Yeah.
never, I would never make a girl my girlfriend without fucking her first. Like that's like the interview. That's part of the interview process.
Yeah, at this age in my life,
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
definitely.
Well, I definitely didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to ask a question about
We didn't ask for consent, Andy.
Okay, so I'm a little nervous. Sorry, I know I'm a little sick, so my voice sounds a little silly. But so I have a sibling, and they're autistic, and they've been autistic, all their life. They've been diagnosed since they're really young, and I have, my parent who is pretty much absolutely insane, and they both live with each other, and they just do not help each other at all. And they're both pretty depressed. They're overweight, and now they're both like my sibling is like of age now. They're 19 now, and I really don't know like what to do to help them. Like I've been trying to have like talks with them, like to like try to like get their self-esteem up and that kind of thing, but they just seem really depressed, and I'm not sure like if it's the autism that's making it like that, or if there's anything else that I can do to help.
Is it a girl or a guy?
It's a guy.
So, and the relationship is bad.
Yes, I mean they're very like toxic. They're like very close with each other, but they're like very dependent on each other too. It's like very toxic with each other.
Mm-hmm. So, well, you talked about a couple things. So, first, just about self-esteem. I just don't believe in teaching self-esteem. You have to help the person get better at things. You make them stronger and make them more competent. So, it's about finding out what your brother wants in life. And this is, and I think it's great that you've been talking to them, because I think that's what you have to do with people, is just talk to individuals. He's got to figure out what he wants. And that's often a very hard decision, because if he is dependent on his mom, which he probably is if he has a disability to some extent, he has to figure out, all right, I'm either going to have to make a decision to be independent, which is going to be difficult, and I'm going to have to learn new difficult things, or I'm going to stay in this relationship. And I think sometimes just telling that person that that's the reality that they're in can be a step to, okay, well, now that we understand that that's the issue, what can we do about it?
Right. Like I've tried to have talks with them multiple times, and he just like it just goes over his head, and he just like he'll run back to my mom and be like, hey, so and so said this and this, and I'm like, look, I'm just trying to help you out, and then she gets mad at me, and it's just like a constant battle, and I'm like, oh geez, like I have no idea what to do.
Does he understand that he has a disability and like what it is?
Yes, he does. Like he's very, very intelligent. He's very high.
Do you think
he wants to do computer science? I see. That's the thing. Like, I think that he's just kind of like lazy. He doesn't really want to do anything.
And that's honestly,
and like I think that he kind of uses it as an excuse. And that makes me worried too.
So I'll tell you just from my experience, that's very, very often the case with students with disabilities.
Okay.
In my school, they pretty much get a high school education with a diploma from a regular public school, but the work that they're doing is not even similar. So they've been kind of pushed along at whatever level they're at, so they can be have on a can't read at all. They'll get a high school diploma, and
Mhm.
it kind of gets this idea in their head. Okay, everything's going okay. I don't have to do anything, but unfortunately, these services end. You have to start being an adult at some point, and it's very common that they've been told their whole life, well, this is because is this, you're here because of this reason. And they don't understand.
Right.
Okay, that's true. That is true. But you can do something about it. You can,
Yeah.
it's the first thing you have to do is figure out what you actually want.
Yeah, that's definitely his mentality. It's just it makes me really decline in both of them really, and they just seem so toxic for each other, and I just really don't know what to do at this point.
So, has
I
your brother
I
been
just
diagnosed with a severe autism, or is he just a little awkward?
no, he's high functioning, like he's I'm not he has Asperger's and he's high functioning and he going to college like that, but it's very minimal independence and my mother's always been like on the loony side. Like I don't know what she has, but it's not autism. I think it's more of a like personality disorder if anything. And like they just don't do well together. Like she's very clingy about like keeping like her kids like close, and it's not like a weird thing, but it's just like she likes to have her family close with her, and she was very protective in a way. Like she was that with me until I left like home. I had to get away.
I think part of the solution is, well, first, your intent to improve the situation is perfect. It's a good intent and it's noble. Now, your brother will be reactive to any sort of moral intervention. That's how autism works. He sees you as a disruption to his life, even if this life is filled with what I would call a sort of abuse or a sort of a toxic relationship, as you called it. So I would simply, on your side, accept that whatever input you can get onto that relation may be very small, but work for those small steps.
Yeah. I was thinking about maybe like going like every like trying to like get him to like go outside and stuff like that, just interacting with people. He seems like he's going to college, but he's not really talking to people and he's just kind of being like awkward. So I'm like, maybe if I like try to get him to interact more.
My policy on this is it's a good feeling of you, but it's not adapted to your brother. Your brother will not be interested in having you force interactions with people. One day he may fall in love with a woman, and he will be focusing on that woman. But I wouldn't try to develop a social network for him. I don't know, Virgil. Do you agree with me?
I say
Okay.
you don't you again, it goes back to asking him what he wants. Does he want a social network? And some people don't, and some people can function just fine without it, and that's what they need in life. But I think the more important is if he's happy. Um, it has to be just again figuring out what does he want to make him in a good state of mind. So it's really hard. I mean, it's hard to say what to do other than talk to him and try to figure out what exactly is going on.
Well, is it like to like, or would you say, like in her mind, in Monica's mind, in our minds, how we think, you would think someone would want to be social, have a lot of friends, all that stuff. But in his mind, maybe he's just fine, just chilling. Maybe he wants his
Yeah,
RuneScape.
that's actually possible. It's just like he just seems so lonely, and I really worry about him. I don't want him to miss out on life, and I want him to
Is
be
he
able to
sad?
experience things.
Is he sad?
I'm sorry, what?
Is he sad?
He seems depressed to me. Like he says things, and I hear you or not, but he just says things that makes me really worried. And I guess it's just me being like an older sister, being doting about it. And
Like
I
what?
just
What
Give
does
me an
he say?
example. Yeah.
I kind of don't want to like spill all his beans on like the thing, but it's just
Fair
like
enough.
concerning things. I'm sorry, what?
Was that fair enough? You don't have to, of course.
I mean, like he just says things that like make me worried that he's going to hurt himself one day, and it just makes me really unnerved, and I just really hope that he's going to be okay. And
Do you
He's
think
just like,
do you think he would be open to you going to see him once a week to do 15 minutes of jogging?
maybe. I mean, I can try that. Like, I would be willing to try anything at this point. Like, I just was really wanted to get on here so I can ask for help.
I would say if you frame any sort of attempt to help, don't frame it too caring, because
Okay.
your brother probably doesn't like being cared for. And so if you can establish any sort of thing like a jogging, which you told me was fat, that could improve his life significantly, and you wouldn't have to work for him to get the social relationships. They will develop when he wants them and when he seeks them. If you can establish a kind of non-caring approach to his life, but you deeply care, but you don't necessarily display too much of it.
Okay, that's completely fair.
Also, working out gives you endorphins. It
Yeah.
it stimulates your brain and makes you feel good, right? You feel more confident.
Right.
You start looking better the more you work out. And also, yeah, if you're jogging, he's out in public, sort of like running by people and sort of like absorbing people slowly instead of like
So-
walking up and going, "Hey, what's going on?" You know what I mean?
At like a surface level, yeah, like it's definitely any kind of exercise is wonderful for you. But again, I'm just trying to be very realistic. Like he has problems that jogging doesn't fix. So it's again
Right.
figuring out with him. Again, we have to figure out what he wants. He might not want to lose weight, and if he doesn't, you cannot push that. You cannot force people.
No,
to
I understand
change.
that.
Yeah, and so
I've been trying to like get him like books and stuff like that, like because I know that he's interested in certain subjects. I've been trying
Yeah,
to push him to
wonderful.
like, reading and stuff like that. So anything I can do, I'm like, any advice helps. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate
By
this.
the way,
Coming.
real fast, before you leave.
And I got one thing too.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so when you hopped on, everyone in the chat is saying you have a hot voice, and then
Oh, thank you.
and when you said something in the beginning, JF did his his eyebrow thing, and someone threw a funny fucking super chat. It says Sponge €5. JF's eyebrows just took Monica's virginity.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
I would marry
It's possible.
Monica now.
Sorry about
All right,
that.
Nika,
It's
thank you
awesome.
for coming.
Oh wait,
Can I
and
say
Virgil,
I think Virgil, yeah.
Yeah, just before you go, two things. One, if you said something about him harming himself, if he ever says anything that just gives you a bad gut feeling, don't hesitate to call someone, to call 911 if you need to.
Yeah,
Eh.
we've had this problem before in the past,
Okay.
and like it's been a thing. So like we definitely know how to like handle that. It's just
Okay,
he's saying that
good.
kind of stuff again, and it makes me worry because he's over 18 now,
understand.
and it's just like, oh geez,
No,
like
it's horrible.
like we can't. Yeah,
I
it's
understand.
just
So
really scary now.
the last thing I was gonna say, take care of yourself. That is honestly the most important advice that I can give you, is that you need to be strong for if things go bad, that you sound like you're the person that kind of takes care of people. So take care of yourself as well. It's honestly very,
Okay.
very important and something that you can control.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And make babies. You're a wonderful woman. Bye bye.
babies. More calls? Yo, I'm gonna top off my
That got
coffee,
way
if you
more
don't mind.
serious than
Caller.
porn.
This caller is a special person. On my Discord,
Special
she
needs?
ended up being called the Fasci Mom.
Okay.
She is a woman who is absolutely sweet in every way.
Mhm.
Hello, SPQR.
Hi.
Ah, you are on the show with Andy and Virgil and JF. How are you doing today?
Oh my goodness. I'm doing great. Oh, thanks. I'm so glad. Hello, chat. Hi, Andy. I finally get to talk to you.
What's
I'm
going
so
She's a
on?
big fan of you, Andy.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I
you very
am.
much.
You're
Appreciate
such a sweet, sweet man. Honestly, you have the patience of a saint when I watch you, especially when it comes to technology. You're so patient. You should be a special ed teacher. That's where your destiny, I think, lies. You would be very good at this.
What the fuck is going on? Wait, is this like a character?
No. SPQR is not a character. She is very well known on my Discord. I talked to her many times. She's really a fan of you, Andy, and it's been a while since she's been talking to me and saying, "When do you bring me on with?"
Well, the reason I asked that is just because I'm the opposite of having patience with technology.
Oh, I see when you blow up, and I understand that. But when you initially talk to people, you really do have patience. I could see how well you would work with, children and teens who
Yeah.
suffer from different kinds of maladies, especially autism and
I did
perhaps
I
Down
did
syndrome.
I did for high school, I was in Catholic high school, you needed 40 hours of community service to get
Yeah.
like to finish high school. So I did work at a school for people with special needs.
See, yeah, you could see
I
that
was
you learned
terrible at
something, you
it.
picked something.
I was the
Pardon?
worst. I was the worst human being. One girl kept
I
going.
don't know.
Oh, if one girl ran up to me all the time, she's like, "Fucking Steve punched my hair." I'm like, "You can't punch." Like, I'm just like, "You can't punch hair." What do you mean? Like, what is it? Like, I'm trying to rationalize. I'm just. I always talk to even kids and special needs people like they're anyone else. I don't. Hey,
See,
how are you doing? No, I don't care. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? But fucking my girlfriend's 4-year-old fucking a nephew. That dude, I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? How you doing? But everyone else is like, hey, how you doing?
Andy,
Oh, you're
I'm
so
okay with you talking to special needs people by saying, "What's up, dude?" But please, when Richard Spencer comes on the show, be a little more polite.
what? I wasn't not polite, was I?
You're like, Spencer, your turn to talk. And you said to Jared Taylor, "What's up, buddy?"
No, that's me. That's what I think makes that's what makes my personality work on the show. You're more the professional, cold, calculated, high IQ, and I'm the yo, dude, what's going on? Welcome to the show. I say, hey, what's up,
well,
buddy?
I
Taylor. I don't remember that.
well, I think it shows that you have that background, and I think you'd be very good at it. And I think it's important, and maybe your guest would say so as well, to speak plainly to people, regardless. That is most people won't do that. They
Yeah,
they won't. They will be very tender, or they will back off.
yeah.
And the fact that you can stand in that's I think that's a gift.
Well,
Um,
there are certain lines. Like I remember I told my little cousin like years ago. I told him what death was, and he was freaking out. And then my uncle was like, "What the fuck did you teach my kid?" I'm like, I didn't know he didn't know what dying was. Like I didn't know he didn't know what dying was. And then I was
just
explaining
some
how
fine tuning there.
yeah, I was just like, oh, then whatever. And then when you die, it's like whatever. And he's like, die? And I'm like, when when you're old and then you die. And he's like, what's that? I'm like, you aren't here anymore. Right. And then I'm, atheist and they're Christian.
Yeah.
So I'm telling it like, oh, you just turn off, you know? You're just off. And then this person's like, you're supposed to teach them about heaven. You don't turn off, you transition into the better place. And I'm like, oh, well, you better
Yes.
have to start I have to I'll be like, tell him I was just joking.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't explain death to someone else's kid.
I
Yeah.
was having a good chat with him. I didn't know he didn't know what dying.
So, SPQR, did you have any subjects on your mind for tonight?
I do. I have. Oh well, I always have a list, as you know. I do have one pressing question for Andy, though. I wanted
okay.
to know. I've been holding this one for weeks. Have you read Heidegger yet?
No.
Okay.
Who's
It's not
Heidegger?
as funny as it would have been a couple weeks ago.
I'm like,
But
oh,
I
is
do have
this okay? Yeah.
It's the "Have you read Loki" meme.
Okay, fair enough. The artwork
Never mind.
of the low-key meme was amazing, by the way. Did you see it?
I didn't.
You,
Did
you
I?
didn't see
Oh yeah, the one you showed me. Oh yeah, I saw it.
I retweeted it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
will, I will
So go ahead.
Okay, so I bring something a little different in this background, which is would be more of a spiritual aspect of autism, and say Down syndrome, and it's a duality here. This autism is an antipathy, and the Down syndrome is a sympathy. And antipathy and sympathy are opposed to each other. And this stream of this antipathy is not wanting to be here in this body. It's getting out of it.
By
Whereas
what
the
standard do
sympathy,
you classify Down syndrome as sympathy? Because Down syndrome typically is a much wider set of disorder. I mean, it's a single disorder, but that results in all sorts of troubles in the body. I've never heard of Down syndrome being linked particularly to sympathy.
well, the Down syndrome children I've seen are generally very compassionate, very warm and hugging. Although I have met some Down syndrome students who don't want to deal with anybody. And that is new for me to come across. But generally, they want to hug and touch and embrace. And the autistic students have always been kind of like, don't touch me. And they want to be left alone. And so those, in a broad sense, I wouldn't say that this is scientific, because I think almost everything that's being talked about, at least in the psychology department, we would be getting the finger waving at right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in another perspective, that there's these two streams of antipathy and sympathy, and this pushing away and this bringing towards one coming in and wanting to be in life and participate, and the other, wanting to get away from it. And sometimes it helps to look at individuals in that way. And I think on a scale, we're all sort of like that. Some people have said the white race is more antipathetic, whereas the darker races are more sympathetic, more
Shut her
embracing.
down.
What did you say, Andy?
Just shut her down.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Perspective. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so it's just another way of looking at things. That's all.
Who you sound like? Who she sounds like? You know that actress who's in? Okay, I can't remember like many of the movies, but in particular, have you ever seen School of Rock?
No, I haven't.
Anyone see School of Rock here?
Is that Jack Black movie?
Yeah, Jack Black movie, like the love interest.
I don't remember.
What movie was she? Someone, give me a name. You know what? Keep talking. I'm gonna be autistic about this.
Well, I'm interested actually in what your guests think about this perspective. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I could talk about
Virgil. I think she's asking. Yeah.
So, and like I said in the beginning of this, I'll be honest. I have never worked with Down syndrome students, so I have absolutely pretty much no knowledge on them. So that was the first thing I'll say. I will be honest where my knowledge is not there. So, but that's interesting that you feel like they both want the attention but don't want the attention at the same time. Is that?
You mean the autistic? Well, the autistic range is so vast too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the Asperger's to complete autism and disability. So, I mean, it's such a wide range.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of hard, but you want to kind of classify it, because that's our nature to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To put things in little boxes.
And it can be useful, because you can design therapies for certain symptom clusters essentially, and it can be useful.
Yes.
But it can also, I'm very much, my whole philosophy is you need to understand the person who you're talking to. Every person has such unique, complicated issues, and there's just no way to treat someone unless you know them. So it's useful in one sense, but on the other hand, it's very much lacking.
Found it.
Our system is not. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say our system's not set up to do that.
Oh, not at all.
I
completely agree.
Her, Joan Cusack.
Oh, I know her.
What's
sound
up
like
with John
her.
Cusack?
I do.
Guys, yeah, it's not a bad thing. She was in fucking Shameless for a bunch of seasons.
Okay, you're saying she sounds like John Cusack?
No, Joan.
Joan.
I swear to God,
John's sister?
pop up a fucking video. Everyone in the chat, let me know.